But where is Bob Jenkins? Bob Jenkins is being honored by the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. There he is on the start-finish line, and he will be waving the green flag to kick off today's 1-hour final Carb Day practice. Bob more saluting than waving, but he has one more opportunity to wave as they do come by. And congratulations, Bob. Very well deserved.
It certainly is.
Yes, for him to be recognized. And Wally, what are they working on today?
Well, there's a lot of things they're going to be doing for this last practice. Obviously, they're going to check the new engines. They're going to make sure that there's no leaks, balances, weird noises going on. They're also going to run a couple of full fuel tank runs. They want to check the balance of the car, make sure they're comfortable with it. They want to see how the heat will affect the setup. Obviously, it's going to be very, very hot on Sunday, so they want to try to tune in on that. Run in the draft. They also want to get their car in every situation they can in the draft, every possible scenario, so there's no surprises on Sunday.
And today is warm. Now, you talk about leak checks. A few of the cars may stay on the track, but Bob is going to get the opportunity now to wave. We had the Bob salute. There you go. All right, congratulations, Bob, waving that ceremonial flag. And I love the way the drivers kind of swooped over, giving that little rush of air, saying thank you, Bob, for your service.
And that's where Pat Vadan used to wave the green flag from before they moved him across the street and up in the tower.
Great moment, and as you mentioned, Wally, the cars will be heading on to pit road because every car has a new engine, and this is the leak check portion. This is why you just kind of do a slow pace lap, come back, and they look for anything that, any of the fittings, something that might be leaking at speed. A few of the cars taking more than one lap. I think that was probably to honor Bob. Now, there'll be a lot happening in the pits today. And of course, Derek Daly stepped in. We thank you for his service because Marty Snyder was off doing NBA, but he's back. Welcome back, Marty.
Good to be back with you guys, Jon and Wally up in the booth. And for the Penske Racing guys, it's been a very smooth 2 weeks. The worst qualifying effort they had was Elio Castroneves, who qualified 6th. Obviously, Ryan Briscoe on the pole for this race. Ryan coming in on pit road, one of those many guys doing a leak check right now. I talked to Roger Penske and Tim Cindric, and they both told me, hey, all 3 cars with a very good chance to win the Indianapolis 500. Their goal for today is very simple. They got a ton of practice last Sunday. We covered it here on NBC Sports Network. They were very happy with all the cars. Today, they would like to scuff in a few sets of tires. They're going to make sure nothing leaks here with the engine and then do one full fuel run, and that's it. They will park all 3 Penske cars. They're very happy with them and very confident in them for the 500. Let's head further up pit road to Kevin Lee. Kevin.
Thank you, Marty. It did not go as smoothly for Chip Ganassi and his 4 cars in qualifying. Their best effort, Graham Rahal 12th, Charlie Kimball's going to start 14th, and they're 2 former winners. 2 of the 3 former winners in the field. Scott Dixon 15th, Dario Franchitti 16th. But it was mostly a Chevy sweep in qualifying. 9 of the top 10 were Chevy. So their feeling is that extra horsepower that was allowed for qualifying, a bigger disparity between Chevys and Hondas, but they're thinking and certainly hoping that it's going to be a little closer because they were closer in speeds in the practices. So they're optimistic and confident. They're going to go out as they just did on the scuffed tires. They're going to put a set of stickers on, run full tanks, and try to get a sense of what these conditions are going to be like on Sunday because it is going to be treacherous and hot. Let's check in now with Robin Miller.
It's hot everywhere but where I'm standing, Kevin. I just found the only shade in the good old shadow of the pagoda here. But believe me, the heat is going to play a factor with the fans. It's going to play a factor with the teams, the drivers. But the most important thing is what's it going to do to the engines? Earlier this year, Chevrolet had some overheating problems, a few issues in the early going in the road courses and maybe even some of the test days. But they seem to have cleared those up. Just talking to a couple of mechanics for the Chevrolet teams, and they said, you know what? I'm not saying our engines are going to blow or Hondas are going to blow, but there's going to be more blown engines here than you've seen in a long time because of the heat and the humidity. One thing we know, Jon, it's been a long time since we had to worry about engine failure.
That is true, and when you have engine competition, you obviously run the risk of engine failure. Now, of course, you talk about the heat, Robin, and the forecast is for super high temperatures and humidity. 95 degrees. Again, this is race day forecast, 86% humidity.
That's oven temperature.
Absolutely. And if it hits the forecast, that will be a record. The hottest Indy 500 on record, 1937 at 92 degrees. So they could blow that record right out of the water and on a first year back for engine manufacturer competition. That really raises the bar for sure. Back behind the pit wall, certainly it is very, very crowded. People packing in today for lots happening on Carb Day at Indianapolis. And this place sometimes has a personality all its own.
The Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a place storied with traditions and history. From the first 500 in 1911 when Ray Haroon took the checkered flag, through the decades of innovation and transformation, each year with its own story and hero. As race day fast approaches, anticipations rise with the start of Carb Day, the time when drivers and crews are given one last opportunity to fine-tune their cars. For rising stars in the Indy Lights series to shine at Indianapolis and make their talent known. And an opportunity for the pit crews to stand on the big stage in the annual Pit Stop Challenge. In Indianapolis, the weekend begins today, all leading to the 96th running of the Indianapolis 500. The city of Indianapolis, well, it's hot and humid and hazy today, and quite honestly, there's not much going on. It's kind of quiet in downtown Indianapolis, but not so about 5 miles to the west at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where they've been lining up as far as cars and spectators since early this morning, all getting in for what is the second most attended event during the month of May here in Indianapolis. Carb Day, the final practice period, the Freedom 100 Firestone Indy Lights race, and later the pit stop competition. And the cars are on the track for the final practice before race day, and that was about the coolest thing I ever did. Waving the green flag.
Nice job. Now your first one though was like a salute though. We were expecting like the full-on waving, but you kind of were saluting.
Well, I was taking my cue from one of the IMS people down there. And
let's take a replay.
He didn't officially
this was second time.
Wave. Yeah. So I was just, I guess, so nervous.
Look at that. Fancy over the head, behind the back. Nice.
Well, probably could have been a little more excited, but I was excited and nervous, I'll tell you that.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Marco Andretti is on the racetrack. What a month for Marco. He starts his 7th Indianapolis 500 on Sunday from the 4th position. Just a total turnaround for the entire Andretti Autosport team from last year. He has put together a real solid effort here this year.
And Bob, for Marco, I talked to him a moment ago before he climbed in the car. He spent the first 5 laps out on the track with his teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay. And when you talk to everybody in the paddock, they all say these Andretti Autosport cars are going to be tough to beat for the 500. I asked Marco, how's your car? He said, excellent. I said, are you so good that you're a little bit nervous? He said, come on, man, I'm not nervous. I said, is it the best car you've ever had here? He said, absolutely. I just want to take care of it today and learn what it's like in traffic. So that's what he's doing out there right now, Kevin.
J.R. Hildebrand isn't going to do a lot of work today. As those that qualified on Saturday, he got a lot of work done on Sunday. We had great weather all last week, no delays for any kind of rain. So the teams that qualified early probably are more prepared for this 500 than at any other time with all the track time available. Now, the one concern is the changing conditions. Much hotter today and for race day than it was throughout most of the week. J.R. Hildebrand, as we take a look at Jean Alesi's car up in smoke there. Not the first time we've seen that today. Hildebrand took some advantage of downtime on Fast Friday last week, and he and John Barnes, the owner, went out to the snake pit in turn 3, passed out hats, surprised everybody, autographs. You'll see some of that, I believe, on the next episode of IndyCar 36, featuring J.R. Hildebrand's qualifying weekend. That airs tomorrow night at 6:30 after the 500 Festival Parade here on the NBC Sports Network.
What's going on here, Jon?
Well, of course, this is a braking issue. You typically put on new rotors and pads.
A little bit high.
Yeah, I've never seen smoke like that before.
Almost everywhere. So I cannot be flat. The engine is a disaster. Engine is really bad.
Well, we sort of knew that, John. That is, the Lotus certainly has been having having difficulty kind of finishing that thought on the brakes. You do put on new rotors and pads. They're all carbon this year, both on road courses and at the Speedway, which is not new for the Speedway, but it's a new package. And obviously when he was dragging his foot on the brakes, somehow, Wally, that was exceeding the temperatures and lighting them on fire.
Yeah, it's different in the old days when they weren't all carbon. You could drag the brakes. That's really how you put the heat up. This carbon, you really have to be careful. It's kind of a trick to bring these pads in on these cars. You don't want to get them over hot. And they are hard to get heat them right away. They're like stones when you first go out there.
And you may see at the back of Catherine Lake's car, you saw, there it is, the yellow stripe. They're going to put yellow stripes on the back of that beam to designate the rookies. So depending on how much of a wicker you run on there, you have some cars like Joseph Newgarden. He has a yellow strip, but it's very narrow. She obviously has got some downforce to go with that rookie sticker.
That tradition kind of goes back many, many, many years when all the rookies were given yellow stripes to put on the back of their car during practice and qualifying. But once they passed their driver's test and got into the race, then they could peel those yellow stickers off. But in this case, they're keeping them on for race day.
It's interesting talking to different teams down there this morning. It's a great onboard shot, isn't it? Yeah, it's really cool. Hinchcliffe's car. How some, you know, you ask them how their cars were in the draft. And some guys are like, no, it's no problem. You know, the car's really. And then you'll talk to a team right next door and like, oh yeah, the car gets really, really light in the draft. You know, there's definitely some cars here that are working very, very well as far as in those situations. And there's still some guys struggling with it.
James Hinchcliffe just missed the pole position by a fraction of a second, and I mean a fraction of a second. But he'll line up in the middle of the front row next to Ryan Briscoe, the pole sitter, and his teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay on the outside. This will be James Hinchcliffe's second Indianapolis 500.
You also notice, Bob, as it goes away from you see the 27, you see the car numbers in the rear fairings. That's the second thing they've added, is that not only are they putting rookie stripes on the car so you can see when you're coming up on a rookie, but they've added the car numbers for the race in those rear shrouds. You can see them very clearly, so when you're coming up behind somebody, especially if there's team cars, you don't have to look for colors. You can clearly see the number and rookie. And I think the reason they're taking all these precautions, of course, is because they're expecting that this is going to be some pack racing. They'll be close together.
Now if they just put the numbers on the car so we could read them, we'd really be in good shape. What's going on, Marty?
Well, I think they're all trying to figure out this racetrack right now, Wally, and what it's going to be like in traffic, like you guys are talking about, for both Hinchcliffe and his teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay. A little bit of understeer. Ryan Hunter-Reay's already been to pit road one time to get a turn on the front wing. He's going to come in here in a moment and get another turn in the front wing. But the real question for all these guys, how much do you adjust to the way the track is right now, knowing it could be 95 on race day, a completely different racetrack than what you have right now in final practice?
I think you have to, I really think you have to set the car up for today, Marty. And if the car's good today, the way the temperatures are, then you adjust on it on race day. But you certainly don't want to change anything from today's practice a whole lot to start the race on Sunday. You don't want that unknown, trust me, going down into turn one when they throw the green flag for the first time.
Hinchcliffe made history by almost becoming the closest in terms of from first to second. In fact, I think it was the closest between first and second as Hinchcliffe battled for Ryan Briscoe for the pole position. That was last Saturday during pole day. Both looking forward to the race after drama during qualifying. It is pole day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Ryan Briscoe. He's fast enough. 226.334.
Here's green for James Hinchcliffe. Hinchcliffe completes the run, but he's second quick.
Like no blink poker here.
And James Hinchcliffe goes again. Not good enough. Qualifications on pole day are over, and Ryan Briscoe wins the pole for the 2012 Indianapolis 500.
I was shaking in there, man, because I felt like we had the speed to go out and do it again. I didn't want to, though. And when I found out that he didn't knock us off the pole, man, it was a great feeling.
Today is what we are into right now. Just about 20 minutes of practice, 1 hour of practice. for these IZOD IndyCar Series cars and drivers. Dario Franchitti, you can see at the top of your screen, is the fastest during this period with a lap of 221.986. But speed is not really something that their drivers, at least it's not first priority for these drivers here today. There's Dario. There are a lot of drivers that ran a lot of laps last Sunday, and Dario ran 114, while his teammate Scott Dixon ran the most, 115, and Will Power ran 100. And you can see there that Kimball, Alesi, and Beatrice didn't run very many in their opportunity on Sunday after qualifications closed and the track opened for practice then.
Well, don't forget, Kimball crashed his car.
Yes.
So this is basically all brand new day of practice for these guys because they've got some catching up to do.
You also saw something they haven't been able to do until today, and that's pitting off of turn 4.
You're going to come around Hildebrand, stop on the side.
So when you saw Dario go in there, this is a day when you're getting a feel for the car and where your braking point is. Remember, you're going to make at least 6, maybe more pit stops, and that point where you hit the brakes, you can give and take a lot on your laps here. It's good to really get that refined.
You could gain or lose a ton of time on your pit entrance and exit.
Helio Castroneves seeks his 4th win here at the Indianapolis 500. He starts from 6th position, Marty.
Slot 1, 5th gear. Slot 1, 5th gear.
And you hear John Erickson on the radio, and you're right, Bob. A lot of people think he might be in line for that 4th Indianapolis 500 win. I talked to him right before he climbed in the car. He said, if I don't say a word out there in that first run, everything's good. Guess what? Helio has not said one word. The only voice on the radio so far has been John Erickson telling him to try a few different things. They're about to wrap up this very first run for Helio Castroneves. Very pleased with the car, and we know this man knows his way around this racetrack and can find a few secrets on race day as well.
No question about it. Winning in his first 2 tries here at Indianapolis. In his rookie year and in his sophomore year, he was the man. Castroneves has the 5th fastest speed at this point, 219.8. And a lot of cars remain on the racetrack coming out of turn number 4 and down the front stretch.
Justin Wilson just working his way through. He has the 4th fastest time at the moment. 2:19.8. Kevin?
Well, Justin Wilson is known as a road and street course expert, but he's been getting a little bit more comfortable every year since he first started coming to Indianapolis in 2008. He finished 7th a couple of years ago, and they've been quick so far today. They're halfway through a full tank run, maybe a little halfway through, about lap 20 right now of this run. And one thing to note with this team that we've talked about in earlier broadcasts, the gang is back together. Dale Coyne has hired Bill Pappas back. Bill was the engineer a couple of years ago when Dale Coyne won his first race as a car owner at Watkins Glen. They have a great relationship, and Bill Pappas is highly regarded in the IndyCar paddock.
And here is Ryan Hunter-Reay, the other member of the front row besides Briscoe and Hinchcliffe. Ryan Hunter-Reay will be in his 5th Indianapolis 500 on Sunday. Qualified on pole day at 226.240. You see his fastest lap today is almost 220.
Out of all the cars from the last practice that we covered, this one looked the best to me in traffic. He just put, man, he could put that car anywhere he wanted.
You're back in tow on your outside. Outside.
EJ Viso leaving the pits, which is a good thing because, Marty, he's been having some issues trying to get that car underway.
Yeah, Jon, what they have is a problem on pit road is they don't know what the issue is. It's not with EJ. It's somewhere internally in the engine. They can't get it to launch off of pit road. So I was talking to Jimmy Vasser a moment ago. He said, we've got to get that fixed for race day if we can. But they did not know this problem, obviously, until they put this engine in today.
Last car in that line is going to be Dixon.
Dario Franchitti exits pit lane and goes onto the racetrack at the backstretch. And Dario, of course, will be looking for his 3rd win here at Indianapolis on Sunday. He's currently 2nd quick, and he will be in the booth with Mike King and Arie Luyendyk Jr. when you watch the live coverage of the Firestone Indy Lights Series. The Freedom 100 coming up right after this practice session is over on the NBC Sports Network. Just a little more than 30 minutes remain on Carb Day, the final practice prior to Sunday's Indianapolis 500. The fans filing into the Indianapolis Motor Speedway to get their final look at the cars on track before the race on Sunday. It's Carb Day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Full afternoon of activity for you here on the NBC Sports Network. After this 1-hour practice period that ends just after noon, we will have the Firestone Freedom 100 for the Indy Lights series. And then we'll have the pit stop competition, which is always a exciting little added addition. Cars running together here. Simona De Silvestro, Will Power is there in the Verizon sponsored car. Power third, quick today, 220.3.
Well, you really see where the Lotus is. They get hammered off the corner. Once they get down the straightaway, they kind of, you know, hold their own a little bit.
And we talked during break. It's pretty obvious that these ladies and gentlemen are kind of taking it easy today. They're not taking any chances out there.
Yeah, no, there's a lot. You know, they've got a lot of people have a shot at winning this race. So there's a lot more give and take out there than we'll see race day.
Joseph Newgarden in the bright yellow car leads this group down the backstretch. Newgarden, the fastest rookie qualifier and also the fastest Honda qualifier last Saturday. And Marty has more on Joseph Newgarden.
And it's been an impressive couple of weeks here for him in Indy, of course, starting off with the spin early on, but 11th fastest right now, Bob. He said when he went out in traffic, Sarah Fisher just told me that he was a little bit, had too much understeer, especially when he was behind someone, so they came in to fix that. What they did, went with a completely new rear spring and shock package in the car. They spent about 10-15 minutes on pit road, quite a while, getting that change for Joseph, but back out on the track now. And what he would like to find some other cars so he can feel how it feels when he's behind another race car, but that's where he was tight earlier. Mr. Miller, what are you up to down pit road?
Well, Joseph's teammate, Brian Clausen, a little fine-tuning here. His first real runs with full tanks after his crash. Says the car feels good. What's interesting is he's got a half hour left here, then he's going to debrief, then he's going to put on his dirt driving suit and head over to the fairgrounds because he's running in tonight's Hoosier 100. The last guy that did that was a guy named, let's see, Jack Hewitt, 1998. Used to happen all the time. Guys would run the Fairgrounds Mile and then run the Indy 500. Hadn't happened in a long time. And I think Clausen's got a lot of people here cheering for him because he's a grassroots guy that's won a lot of races, and they're hoping he has a good Sunday.
Hails from Noblesville, Indiana, which is just north of Indianapolis, the county seat of Hamilton County. Brian Clausen comes, as Robin indicated, from the United States Auto Club. He is the teammate to Joseph Newgarden, and both of those drivers are from Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing.
Clutch it, we got fuel pressure drop. Just don't run it dry.
That's Tim Cindric talking to Will Power.
Let's clutch it there.
That's one of the things that you will do. Again, they don't want to run the engine dry. You want to find out how low can you run. This is a great day to find out how low you can run your fuel cell, find out how far you can stretch it, but you definitely do not want to lean out the engine and damage the brand new Chevrolet you just put in. Rubens. Bob, you said that he was one who has been the most impressive to you over the month.
Yeah, I mean, he came here, of course, never having driven an oval, and they had quite a few problems in the early part of the month, but he turned in an incredible number of laps and just steadily improved as the week went on. And then come qualifying day, not only was he impressive, but he just missed the Fast 9. He'll start 10th in tomorrow and Sunday's race. I think that he's adapted quite well to the oval and to the 500 Speedway.
Right behind you, 3 cars. Cars going high.
And Marty has more as we watch this group of cars come down the front stretch.
Well, and Bob, I was going to say, I love what Rubens had to say to the media yesterday. He went in the media center and said, this track is so technical, so difficult. 90% of the guys in Formula One have no idea how hard this is. That's what I loved what he said, because people think Formula One so much harder than this. Rubens said just the opposite. This track, very challenging.
Wow, that is a very interesting comment. They run on so many different kinds of tracks in Formula One, but for him to make that kind of a comment speaks well for the challenge that he faces.
He was way off the pace, obviously. He was looking for something specific, a space, someone he wanted to run with. Now he's definitely put the hammer down, wants to get back up with this group. Looks like Servia, the DNR colors, of course, has switched to Chevrolet, and they have a partnership with Panther Racing coming up from behind.
And they also have a new sponsor on that car for Oriole Servia, Mecum Auto Auctions. Kevin has an update on Justin Wilson.
Well, the plan was to do a full tank run, but Justin Wilson came in just a couple of minutes after our last report. He wasn't happy with the car, so they aborted that, made a few changes. I noticed air pressure adjustments, and I believe they adjusted the front wing a little bit. He also had the tablet computer out in the cockpit. I don't think he was checking emails. I think they were going over some data, and it looks like Wilson's about ready to fire to go finish up his work. Robin?
Well, Townsend Bell, this is a shock. He hasn't said much on the radio, and we know how much he likes to talk. So that means two things. He didn't get enough sleep, or his car feels really good. Sam Schmidt said the car feels good. You know, Townsend had a little spell with vertigo last Sunday and had to go to the infield hospital to get a little fluid, but he says he feels fine. It looks like he's running real fine.
As a matter of fact, let's see, Townsend.
He's down at 28th on the board right now.
Yeah.
PR people lied to me.
No.
2:15 is his fastest lap today. That's Michel Jourdain in the green hooded car. Participating in his second Indianapolis 500 and first since 1996.
Interesting when you look at the overall leaderboard. Again, speed is not the goal today, but it is 3 Hondas before you start getting to Chevrolets. And of course, we saw the opposite in many of the practice days, especially when the boost was higher in qualifying. So you don't want to read too much into that, but a lot of people, you know, were kind of down. Oh, you know, Hondas are out of it. I don't think so. I think that they put a lot of firepower into making sure that they will close any gap that might exist.
We'll see when they drop the green flag Sunday morning for the 2012 Indianapolis 500. It's Carb Day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Welcome on the NBC Sports Network. It's supposed to be hot and humid in Indianapolis on Sunday. How about the hottest 500s? Well, in 1937, the temperature raised above 90 degrees. Wilbur Shaw won the first of 3 races here at the famous 2.5-mile oval. In 1953, Bill Vukovich, who had suffered disappointment late in the race in '52, won his first of 2 500s on another hot and steamy day at the Brickyard. And there's a very famous photo that was taken of Bill Vukovich after the race. He was sitting on the bench in his garage, and that photo speaks volumes as to what it's like to drive in the Indianapolis 500 back then when the engines were in front, and boy, it was quite a task.
That's a great picture.
It is. I love that.
Really is great.
95 degrees expected on Sunday, 86% humidity, Marty.
Yeah, it's going to be a warm one, isn't it, Bob? So the question we were talking about earlier, how much do you adjust your car based on how the track is right now? For Will Power, the big debate is, do we go back out and make another run? They did a full run that last time. I think they're going to go out and scuff tires now. His boss man, Tim Cindric, he's going to be busy tonight with his son, Austin Cindric, racing at the Speedrome across the street, or across town, I should say. He won last weekend. Tim wasn't able to make it, but this weekend he'll be there. He said, I wouldn't miss that for the world. Us dads don't do very well at crew chiefing there, Robin Miller. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
We always mess things up, don't we?
Well, we can't be allowed near a toolbox. That's
Exactly
the key,
right,
but
exactly
now that fella right there is Anthony Joseph Foyt Jr. He knows a thing or two about this racetrack, so I just walked up on his pit stand and said, "Can you tell me anything?" And he said, "Cowboy, get out of my airspace. I'm trying to run 2 cars here." He's got Mike Conway and he's got Wade Cunningham, and he said right now what they're working on is gearing for the heat and gearing for the traffic. And he's probably got a few surprises up his sleeve. I think he probably knows something about gears, Kevin.
One of the things I'm hearing is Sebastian Bourdais just said that I can't drive the car in traffic right now. Several drivers have been talking about picking up understeer when they get in traffic, so that's what people are working on right now. They want to find a group to run with. Also keep in mind today is sort of a test run for the spotters as well, as we go on board with the GoDaddy car of James Hinchcliffe going to the inside, getting around some traffic. But the spotters, some of which, especially for the one-off efforts, don't work with these drivers all year round. So they have to develop that rapport. And as Wally's talked about before, some drivers like to hear a lot of chatter. Some only want the bare essentials.
It's fun just to watch this lap around the track and watch the numbers change up there in the upper right.
Cracking the throttle.
Yeah, a little bit of a
cracking again a little bit there.
And sometimes you do that, Wally, just for testing purposes. There are going to be times when the traffic is going to back up in front of you. You're going to need to lift, and you want to be sure that your engine management, all that tuning allows it. Because remember, we heard in practice, or sorry, for qualifying, that if you lifted, it actually would give you an overboost penalty, that they had them so finely tuned you couldn't even lift. But you're going to have to lift on occasions in the race. And here's a draft. No, I think he's no.
Good idea there, James.
In the race, he would have stayed
Probably,
on.
Yeah,
but not today.
5 back, 3 back.
He's going to spool up again and give it another shot.
Yeah.
But that stuff's going to happen. I mean, it's going to be constantly happening on race day. See, they're side by side from. Now he got way out of it there.
Went down to 5th.
Yeah, like you said, Jon, he's just being real cautious right now. These guys got a great race car for Sunday, so there's no reason to force the issue.
Let's watch the speed if he goes for a full draft by. Go to 6th. No, he's going to hang behind.
If you want to see, this is really usually where you pick up the push a lot. It's just getting off the corner.
Okay, here we go. All you can do is just hear how quick the revs come up once you get in that draft. 225.
Good stuff.
Yep.
Meanwhile, up in front of him, Marco Andretti. Racing with Ryan Briscoe. And at the end of the backstretch, here is Takuma Sato. Driving for Bobby Rahal this year. Takuma Sato picked up his first podium finish in the IZOD IndyCar Series a few weeks back in Sao Paulo. Sato's 4th quick so far.
Wrong car, sorry.
And there is the former Indy 500 winner, now car owner. And more with Robin.
Bobby, you know, I think the thing that's good about Sato is Bobby Rahal's really calmed the guy down. He was always fast in Formula 1. He was fast the first couple years here in IndyCar, but he's had trouble getting to the finish. I think, you know, Rahal was the master at taking what the car had, won a lot of races, won 3 championships in kart, and Sato just seems like a different guy. He just seems like everything's really slowed down and calmed down, and I think Rahal's really been the driving force behind that.
He has run very well at all races this year. Maybe the results don't show it, but he has been up there with the leaders in all races and finished 3rd in Sao Paulo.
The group's with you now. Inside, you're clear by 8.
Briscoe passes.
So he wanted Sato to back up to get into this group.
He's about 3 back.
There's the spotters that Kevin was talking about. They're also taking their various locations around the racetrack to be sure they get in sync. You heard someone counting down. That would have been a spotter going into the pits. They'll count you down to help you hit the marks, which are so crucial on the pit stop, they'll actually count the previous pit boxes as you're coming in. 3, 2, 1. So you're making sure you hit just at the right spot.
It's very difficult coming down pit lane here at the Speedway and finding your pit box. It's so narrow. There's so many colors and people jammed in there. Those guys helped a lot trying to find it.
Scott Dixon is currently second as far as speed goes today at 222.274. Kevin?
And you never know about the speeds because sometimes they're inflated, sometimes you get a draft in traffic. But Mike Cole says everything is okay. They like where the car is at this point, and they're checking off all of their to-dos. So we may not see Scott Dixon out there much longer. Same thing for Dario Franchitti. Things are going according to plan. As we said at the top of the broadcast, even though they were slower in qualifying, they're still optimistic that their Honda power can be good enough to win the 500 on Sunday.
There's no question. You never count these guys out. I mean, 25, 30 laps into this race, these guys are going to work their way towards the front. Very good around this place.
There's Ryan Hunter-Reay, yellow and white.
Dixon starting 15th. I picked him as an underdog, and you slapped me around while he's saying that's not an underdog.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
I mean, those guys are too good to be an underdog.
It is going to be very difficult to pick a winner this year. I mean, it's anybody's race. Marty?
And Bob, Ryan Hunter-Reay actually ran a lot more than they expected to today. He's kind of battled loose and tight, both a push and an understeer. But what he said was coming off of the corner, he had understeer one time. Off the corner the next time, he had oversteer. So which one did he choose? Of course, the understeer. He said way better to be a little too tight off the corner than have too much oversteer. Robin, down on pit road, who you got down there with you, Mr.
This guy's trying to borrow money from me. In 1999, it was about 30 degrees cooler when you won the race, Meatball. Kenny Brack's with us. Good to see you, brother.
Pleasure. How are you?
How are these guys? If you're driving in this race, it's going to be 95 degrees. You're always a physical fitness guy. What's the toughest thing from a driver's perspective?
Well, if it's this hot, it's going to be a lot more physical, of course, and drinking water, making sure you're hydrated before the race, I think is a big thing. So, yeah, but they all know that.
But, I mean, everybody's in pretty good shape, so it's probably not going to be as hard on them maybe as it is the crews or the engines.
That's right. I think I always find it's hard to stand on the sidelines in the car because if you're so concentrated on what you do, then it goes out.
AJ Foyt said he was going to ask you for some advice, and I saw he was drinking some fuzzies, so maybe I was confused.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Mountain Dew.
All right, Kenny, good to see you, Bobby Jenkins, one of the best guys in racing.
1990 winner of the Indianapolis 500, driving for, 99 winner, I should say, driving for AJ Foyt. Carb Day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Welcome. We've got a full afternoon of action for you. Stay with us. Paul Blevin, who does a much better job waving flags, I might add, than I do, waves the yellow flag over the speedway as we have debris on the racetrack. So there will be a track inspection. Sebastian Saavedra has just jumped out of his car, and he, of course, is doing double duty, shaking down the car for race day for the IZOD IndyCar Series, and then he will be in the Firestone Indy Lights race. Kevin?
Gary Peterson is the co-entrant with AFS, with Michael Andretti's team. So did you get done what you want to accomplish here with Sebastian?
Yeah, I think he's pretty happy. We got a pretty good car. It seems to be handling well. Yeah, made some adjustments. I think we're in good shape.
All right, we'll see Sebastian. We'll talk to him coming up right before the Freedom 100 here in about a half hour.
Ryan Briscoe pulls into his pit. One car has not been on the racetrack. 32 of the 33 have been. Anna Beatrice, the only car that has not presented itself on pit lane and onto the racetrack.
Just the outside front guy's hose was way out in the middle of the road.
That is Tony Kanaan's onboard camera we're watching right now. And Marty has more on TK.
Pretty happy with his practice, Bob. He had a little bit of understeer for most of the run, the initial run. They did make some changes on the car. The one thing you did notice the run before this one, that's a terrific shot of TK doing some hand motions to his crew inside the car. The one thing he noticed on the run before this one, he said either we've lost a lot of speed or guys have put on new sets of tires. So he came in, got a new set of tires, and then went back out, ran a couple laps, and we had this caution. But TK, the number 11 car, 11th fastest right now, and we know he knows his way around this racetrack as well. Robin? Mr. Miller?
Well, she made an installation lap, and then they found some fluid in the bottom of the under tray, so they took it in, and they haven't been back. So that doesn't sound good. Let me see if I can get over here. And this is like the pit run, except it's 8 feet shorter. Anna, honey, Bia, what do you think? What was the problem, dear?
Something leaking in the car. We had to check to make sure we don't destroy the engine. Fortunately, won't have track time today.
Did you get to run it all Sunday with a full load and some race setup?
Unfortunately, not either. So we are in trouble here right now because I think we have great teammates. They'll have the feeling for it, and it's definitely going to help. But I won't definitely have the feeling that I wish I have. But, you know, race day is race day. I will do my best.
Okay, thanks very much.
Anna Beatrice starts in 13th position on Sunday in her 3rd Indianapolis 500. Still under a caution here in the final practice period because of debris on the racetrack. We'll wrap up the practice period when we come back to Indianapolis. Yesterday here at the Speedway, Susie Weldon was presented the Champion of Champions ring with her late husband, Dan. Indianapolis Motor Speedway President Jeff Belskis was there. There's the ring that Dan earned by winning his 2nd Indianapolis 500 a year ago. Well, wow, look at the crowd. It's, as usual, huge. And the green has gone back out for a few more minutes of practice. Kevin?
Bob, I'm wearing shades somewhat similar to what Dan Weldon would wear, and as we always said, Dan can pull this kind of thing off. We would talk about his white sunglasses. People like me don't have the fashion sense to be able to do this, but there are 200,000 of these that are going to be handed out on race morning to honor Dan Weldon. Trying to keep it somewhat happy, but it is going to be very emotional for those that knew him, and so many knew him. He touched so many people. The car he drove last year to win the race, I'm in Brian Hurta's pit box, is going to be out probably somewhere around 11:30 late in pre-race ceremony. So be in your seats for that. And Brian Hurta is going to be driving that car. He's taken a lot of laps around this place, but I cannot imagine tougher laps than what he's going to do in that car. But we're going to try to think good things. And remember Dan, our friend, and just one of the greatest ambassadors we've ever had for this place and for this sport.
Amen to that, Kevin. And it looks like that you're about to go into a 3D movie to me, but I know that
I checked. It won't work. It won't work. But they are sunglasses. They do block the sun, so they are functional.
And everybody's going to need some of those on Sunday for the 500-mile race. That's Rubens Barrichello in front, and Graham Rahal about to pull the slingshot down into turn number 1.
Tell you what, you know, just thought, man, these guys are probably trying to time this just right, too, to be at the start-finish line ahead. That last lap, it could come right down to it on the last lap. You want to start figuring this out on how long it's going to take you to slingshot to get in front of the guy.
Good point. Rubens pulls to the inside and lets Ryan Hunter-Ray go around at the end of the backstretch. Dario Franchitti still the fastest here on Carb Day at 222.3. Following him, Dixon, Andretti, Sato, Wilson, Power, Hinchcliffe, Briscoe, Hunter-Ray, and Castroneves.
They just drop back immediately.
Marty, what's going on in your area of the world?
Well, the exciting part is you got some of these guys out there racing. The terrific action you've seen. Some guys scuffing tires. Tim Cindric and Will Power are done. How's the car, Tim?
Yeah, I think it's good. We went through and ran a tank from, full to empty and did our pit stops and checked everything out. That's about all you can do. I'm sure race day will be a lot different, though.
A lot of guys practice more than you thought they would today, Tim?
Well, I think there's a bit more of a confidence level because these guys are planning for engines that run 1,800 miles instead of ones that run 600. So whether it's a false sense of confidence or not, we'll find out on race day. But right now everybody's treating it as though they've got an hour to run rather than a certain number of miles.
As a group, how would you say the Penske guys feel right now?
Well, I think we're confident, but we're certainly not overconfident. So I think we've got our ducks in a row, but you're never overly prepared for this place.
And as we mentioned, Will Power, one of the few guys to call it quits early here today, Bob.
And of course, we saw Will Power's car in the pits, and Ryan Briscoe is still out there.
When Tim is talking about running through a whole tank of fuel, it's not so much like it was many years back where they carried so much more fuel that the balance changed when you burn that off. Now it's more a case where when you burn off that fuel, yes, it gets lighter, it changes a little, but it's more finding out how do the tires wear and what happens to your balance as you get near the bottom of the tank. The way that they've designed these cars and where they put the fuel now, there's not the huge shift that it used to be in the old days.
There's Dario, fastest so far. As we have less than a minute remaining in this final practice period. Counting down the last 30 seconds. That's Tony Kanaan right behind Dario. One of the fan favorites without question, Tony Kanaan, participating in his 11th Indianapolis 500.
Clear by 10.
Great on board shot, out of 2 down the backstretch.
It's a checker flag this time by.
Checkered flag is waving and the practice period is over. The so-called Carb Day runs have been completed, and when the engines fire again, it'll be just before the start of the Indianapolis 500. The Ganassi drivers, 2 of the Ganassi drivers, Dario Franchitti and Scott Dixon, are first and second on the speed chart today. Marco Andretti ended up 3rd, Takuma Sato 4th, and Ryan Briscoe ended up as being the 5th fastest. As far as speeds are concerned, 222.3 for Dario, 222.2 for Scott Dixon. 6th was Justin Wilson, then Will Power, Hinchcliffe, Tony Kanaan, and Ryan Hunter-Reay. The top 10 in the final practice period before Sunday's Indianapolis 500. A lot of activity coming up. We'll talk to some drivers, and then we will have live coverage of the Freedom 100 for the Firestone Indy Lights Series, and following that, the pit stop competition. The chance for the pit crew members to shine and earn some money at the same time.
The 2012 Firestone Indy Lights season, 3 races, 3 different winners, 1 extremely tight championship battle.
Tristan Vautier, Sebastian Saavedra, Esteban Guerrieri, twin checkers of the air.
Leader Sebastian Saavedra, 2nd place Tristan Vautier, 3rd place Esteban Guerrieri, all separated by just 3 points. Now the most prestigious race of the season, and the one every driver wants on their resume, Indy. Firestone Indy Lights Freedom 100 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is next. For race fans, one of the best days of the year, Carb Day at the world's greatest race course, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We just saw the completion of the final hour of practice for the IndyCar drivers as they were led by the 2-time 500 winner Dario Franchitti at 222.360 miles an hour. His teammate Scott Dixon wound up 2nd, but now as the Indy cars are moved off of pit lane. It's time for Firestone Indy Lights action here on the NBC Sports Network. I'm Mike King, along with our driver analyst, Arie Luyendyk Jr. Great to see you for the first time this season. Welcome to the NBC Sports Network.
Thank you. I've been missing, but I'm back now and very excited to begin this season with you and talk about this great talent that we have here today.
Absolutely. By the way, we want to say thanks to Jon Beekhuis, who filled in Arie's absence first 3 races of the season. Of course, Jon very busy with the IndyCar crew. We take a look at the 19 drivers that will be a part of today's Firestone Indy Lights Freedom 100. And Arie, you have been a part of this race. Interestingly enough, you can speak from both sides of the coin. You've driven in the Freedom 100. You've driven in the Indianapolis 500. This is a 40-lap sprint. The 500 is a 200-lap marathon. Give us kind of contrast and compare a little bit these 2 races.
Well, the cars are very similar in a way. The Indy Lights car, obviously less power, and this race is 40 laps, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it is 100 miles. And the Indy Lights guys will be very close throughout the race, 2 and 3 wide racing. You can really do a lot with this car because it is a little bit slower, and the track does seem a little bit bigger in this car. Anyways, but practice yesterday went really well, and all the guys were super close. Crazy action. Everyone trying to get used to being in close quarters on this big oval.
And Arie, this is no surprise to us. 2 and 3 wide racing here in Firestone Indy Lights action has become the rule rather than the exception, and we expect to see more of this for sure. The driver who's going to be in the carry position to start this race, certainly the pole sitter today, Gustavo Yakim and Jake Query, he doesn't want to worry about any of those things going on behind him, that 2 and 3 wide action.
That's right. He will start with the best view, his 4th start in the Freedom 100. Gustavo Yakim starting on pole. What will be the key to staying up front and not getting too caught up in that traffic that's going on behind you and falling back?
Well, first of all, just let me show you the view I'm going to have over here. It's a clear view. There's no cars. You know, in the past I've started in the back, real dirty air. It makes things really complicated. It's really hard to go flat on the first couple laps while the tires get temperature. But hey, now I've got a clean track in front of me. Hopefully we're going to have good downforce. I know we have a really good car, so that's going to play a big deal in winning today's race. You know, getting into turn 1 and first. I have a really good car. You know, I've talked to the people around me. We'll see what's going to happen. You know, the idea is not to fight too much until the end. So let's see if we can accomplish that.
You got your first Firestone Indy Lights win a year ago in Baltimore, but now to win pole at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. How big was that for you?
You know, it's really special. This place is really special to me. You know, even when you come here in the middle of the winter, when there's a lot of snow, everything's white, you walk through that tunnel, or you drive through that tunnel, you just feel a different kind of atmosphere, different air in this track. So it's going to be, you know, first of all, it's really special to be here in pole. I want to thank my teams, my guys. They've done an amazing job preparing this car. You know, in this ovals, when you just hold it flat, what they do is just so much bigger than on a road course where a driver does have a lot more input in the car. So this pole, you know, is for them, and it feels really good to give them this. You know, they have worked really hard, and they deserve this pole.
We like the view. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Gustavo Yakim was 15th a year ago. Kevin Lee, he hopes to finish 14 spots higher.
And this young man, Sebastian Saavedra, is very busy this weekend. He just got out of his Indy car practicing, and he'll be racing in his second 500 coming up on Sunday. But doing this race again, second time you've done the double, the first to do that. What are the challenges of doing both?
Well, it's big challenges, you know. It's very different cars, very different speeds, but at the end, the same physics. I guess that we have an amazing team behind us, and ready, and IFS Racing. And out of the box, we've been strong. So let's just try to keep it up, try to do a good job, think on the points. We're first in the championship. We just need to keep going to the front.
Good luck today.
Well, as our pre-race festivities continue, we count down to the start of this race. Let's go downstairs for our national anthem.
It's that time now, ladies and gentlemen, for the most famous words in motorsports. And here to say them for us today, the aunt of one of our drivers in today's Freedom 100. Please welcome Miss Olivia Newton-John.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
So the command is given, and You know, Dario, I look at her and I still think hopelessly devoted to you. She is still as gorgeous as she was so many years ago. And of course, she's here and got a vested interest. Emerson Newton-John, her nephew, has had a pretty good weekend up to this point. He's scheduled to start outside of row 4.
I thought pretty exceptional considering he hasn't been in a car for a while, and you know, massively experienced in these cars. I thought he had a great practice yesterday. Really good. Got in there, mixed it up pretty quickly, and you know, was in that crazy group of drafting, and I expect him to do a good job today.
Well, it is the Mazda road to Indy that brings drivers to this point in their career, and ultimately will promote them to the IZOD IndyCar Series. Formula 2000, USAC represented along with Star Mazda pacing the race today. And Arie, this is what it's all about, is building that ladder for those young drivers in this country and around the world to be able to get to this point.
And Mazda's created such a great ladder program. Some of the drivers that graduate through, you know, it's just what every driver aspires to do, and they sponsor the guys up through all the way through IndyCar.
You see Ed Carpenter there. That's the last time that a driver other than a Sam Schmidt driver, Dario, was in victory lane, as Ed Carpenter was driving for A.J. Foyt in 2000.
I was going to say, I thought it was A.J.'s car, crikey.
Yeah. So we see some of the other winners: Thiago Medeiros, Jaime Camara, Wade Cunningham, who won it not once, not twice, but 3 times. Alex Lloyd, Dylan Battistini, and Joseph Newgarden, who last year helped this race, certainly, I think, Arie, helped propel him to the IZOD IndyCar Series where he is this year, and in the top 9. He'll start on the inside of row number 3 in Sunday's race.
And that's just such a testament to this series. I mean, the guys that are in Indy Lights right now are the future stars of IndyCar.
Here's your starting grid. Gustavo Yakiman and Victor Carboni will go off on the front row. Yakiman, boy, he desperately wants to win this race. Carlos Munoz and Jorge Goncalves. Remember the hit that Goncalves had here 1 year ago? It was frightening. We're happy to see him back. David Ostella and Brandon Wagner. Wagner has won before on an oval in this series. He's a short tracker from right here in the Midwest. Alon Day and Emerson Newton-John. There he is. He is the nephew of Olivia Newton-John, and looking forward to a good race here. Qualified at over 186.6. Tristan Vautier opened the season with a win, and I know, Dario, you've been impressed with this young man.
So impressed with him. He, from the first race, I was like, wow. He got up to speed quickly this weekend again. I think you've got the two opposites there. You've got Vautier as a rookie, and Sebastian Saavedra, who's running the IndyCar, has got massive experience in these. So I expect those two guys to be going to the front.
Yeah, Saavedra doing the double this weekend. Esteban Guerrieri, Arman Ibrahim will be on the outside of row number 6. Row number 7, Peter Dempsey, the Irishman, and Oliver Webb, the rookie. Impressive in a couple of starts last year. We're expecting great things from him. Mike Larison, who drives sprint cars, Dario, for Davey Hamilton when he's not in one of these cars.
Yeah, that would be quite a change from a sprint car. I don't think there's a more beastly car on the planet to hang on to than a sprint car. I'm reading Johnny Rutherford's biography just now, and he's describing driving one.
Yeah.
And no, but to come here, Indianapolis is still where everybody wants to be, so that's what we want to see.
Row 9, Juan Pablo Garcia and Esteban Guerrieri, and starting in row number 10, Oliver Webb. He was moved to the back after the issue with the engine, and we've got
Anders
a problem.
Krohn.
Yeah, Anders Krohn has a problem on pit lane.
He impressed me yesterday. That's a shame. He impressed me a lot in practice.
And we're being told he has no power, so I'm assuming it's got to be a battery issue at this point, guys.
It could be anything electrical. It could be motor related.
Yep. Unlike the IndyCar Series cars, which are brand new this month of May, these are the same cars that have been driven here for many years and winning ways. Arie, what is it going to take today?
Well, it's hot. Dario said that the track is slippery, so that is something that's going to factor into today. Hopefully these guys have enough downforce on board to deal with the traffic. Experience, I think, positioning yourself for that last lap. Where are you going to be? In the lead? Are you in second? You got to be, you know, in the right position to win this race. Absolutely. And stay out of trouble. Those two guys in the back of the field, they need to stay out of trouble if they want to get to the front.
Carlos Munoz gave it a little look to the inside. We've got a couple of cars that are going to dive low, and they're doing it before the green flag. Dario, that's a no.
That was a pretty shoddy start. That was pretty unorganized coming to the green flag. So they're going to look for something better, a better formation. Pretty slow.
But, you know, guys, it's worth reminding our viewers today that a lot of these drivers have never driven on an oval. The 3 races that they've run this year, in their wheelhouse, road courses and street courses, and this is a brand new experience for some of these young drivers.
That's going to be a big thing. The timing today, the timing of passes, the speed that everything happens, playing with the car, adjusting the car. I think these guys are going to be in their weight jackers very early because I think they're going to find it looser than it was in practice yesterday.
And it's something that they haven't worked with yet. That's a tool they have not worked with. You know, they have their front bar, their rear bar, but you know that weight jacker is something that they got to stay on top of.
So we're going to reform and hope to get it right this time. And everyone, it looked like, well, the first two cars inside. Certainly the 9 car of a long day made the jump first.
Yeah, he's trying it on there. Yeah, we wouldn't possibly do that in the car.
You would never look for that advantage. So here we go. Second go round here for their start at the Freedom 100. This is 40 laps, 100 miles here at the world's greatest race course. And we're being told that Krohn's problem is the brakes are locked up. The crew will try to do whatever they can for him. But as they come to the line, they will start without Anders Krohn and the Brian Herta Autosport entry on the grid. This looks like a good alignment here. They're waiting for the green flag. Will it come out? It will, and we're racing at Indy.
Four wide. Really good start. 4 wide going into 1 here. Incredible. Look at the low line.
And just like that,
the 26 car up front.
Holy cow.
Very
Gustavo Yakiman really, Arie, a little bit of a surprise there. I thought Gus would really be good coming to the line, but instead he gives up 2 quick positions.
Look at Saavedra battling there also to make up some positions.
Well, it's Carlos Munoz, though, who really made the move, but here comes Carbone. So Victor Carbone not wasting any time, Dario.
No, absolutely not. That's the thing. The leader is a little bit of a sitting duck with a draft here. If some guys are running 4 wide behind, they might make a break for it. As soon as we get a yellow, though, it's going to stack back up.
And they said that gearing was definitely one of those things where they don't have a lot of gears to select from. So being out in front is very difficult to hold that lead. And now we see a pass for the lead again.
So Gustavo Yakiman, who was the man on point, bringing him to the line, gave up a couple of positions early to this driver in the 26, Carlos Munoz. And Munoz with another nice pass in turn number 1.
That was a cracking pass, wasn't it? And that's the thing you see is these Indy Lights cars running side by side through the corner as well. That just isn't an option for the Indy car. You get the Indy car up in the grey, you're going on the fence, much like Hildebrand did at the end of the race last year.
Carbone looking to the inside.
And look who's in 4th place right now. Saavedra making moves all the way up to 4th already.
Yeah, Sebastian Saavedra, who started back in the middle of the pack. Let's get an update from pit lane and Jake Query.
As you watch Victor Carbone, keep in mind, guys, this is essentially now his home track. When he came here at the age of 18, he was homesick at first. So what did he do? He decided to move to Indianapolis and make this his home, and he spent his free time in the gym. As a result, Victor Carbone says that things have gotten far more comfortable for him in working out in a race car. Right now, he has worked his way, of course, up into the lead at the Freedom 100.
Yeah, and guess who he drives for, guys? Sam Schmidt Motorsports.
He's the first guy to lead more than 3 corners, I think.
Yeah, so wild and woolly right now. Carbone out in front, the driver from Sao Paulo, Brazil. But here comes Munoz once again, Arie.
Yeah, Munoz definitely good inside line right here. It looks like he has the advantage into 3.
I'm not so sure, Dario, that maybe Gustavo Yakiman didn't decide that 3rd is better than the lead right now.
Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, look how high he is up there. He's just playing around, learning for that towards the end of the race. But he's very experienced and doesn't pay anything to lead right now.
Look at Saavedra
all the way on the inside of the wall.
Boy, and Gus didn't give him much room there either, guys.
Bit of a block there, you think?
Woo! So Gustavo Yakiman playing a bit of cat and mouse there with Sebastian Saavedra. And guys, let's face it, these guys have been, I don't want to say, well, combatants might not be the right word. 2 cars.
Yeah,
3 cars together, a big hit. That's the 22 of David Ostella. He was in the yellow and white car, made the first contact. The orange and black car also involved.
Looks like
the 7
Oliver
car.
Webb.
That's
came down
Oliver
a little
Webb.
bit. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It looks like a little.
That's exactly what we didn't want to see happening. There's the 42 car. That's the 42 of Emerson Newton-John. Does not look like there's a lot of damage to the 42 car that we can see, but certainly right now our concerns are with the 22 and David Ostella.
Yeah, it just looks like Oliver Webb just took a little bit of a shallow line there, didn't give the driver on the bottom enough room.
Yeah, whether his spotter was telling him or inexperience, who knows?
Wow. Last year this race was marred by cautions. In fact, of the 40 laps run here last year, 22 were run under caution. And here we are with 6 laps being shown complete. First caution. Okay, guys, tell us what's happening here. In turn number 2.
Webb was very wide on entry and just kept coming down.
Looks like Brandon Wagner on the bottom there.
And that's
I think it's
clipped.
Wagner's car.
Yeah, that's the 17. Yeah, so it was in fact Brandon Wagner who made contact with the 7 of Oliver Webb.
That's the difference between a road course and somebody who's got experience on an oval. The oval, you would run on the outside there knowing that you could go through the corner side by side. In the road course, you would.
Too big. Boy, I tell you, both David Ostella and Oliver Webb, Dario made big contact with the safer barrier in there.
Yeah. Stella was the victim there.
He really was.
And that's a bit of a shame because he really wasn't in the way. He just sort of was collected through that.
David's been, he said the car was very good in practice yesterday. Yeah, that was a big hit.
Yeah, he was top 5 in practice and had high hopes. And Arie, to go back to your winning ways, stay out of trouble. And unfortunately for David Ostella, he wasn't able to here.
Yeah, that's what you get when you're sort of in the mid to back of the Indy Lights races. You really have to like keep your nose clean. But in that sort of instance, he had nowhere to go.
So again, there's the first hit by Ostella, then Webb. Interestingly enough, guys, I think Brandon Wagner, did he get away from this one unscathed? Here he is.
Looks like it.
Looks like he did.
He's right in the middle of the track there, headed towards the bottom of your screen in the blue and white car.
He might have right front damage.
There's the 15 as well. So damage to so many vehicles. That is Peter Dempsey, the Irishman, who is here. This is his first start in the series this season. So Peter Dempsey, Oliver Webb, Brandon Wagner, Emerson Newton-John, and David Ostella. Homatro's safety crew on the spot, and that is what's left.
Good news is he's out of the car.
Yeah.
That's the good news. That safer barrier is such a great invention, and you know, every time somebody hits it, and every time one of us, you hit it yourself, you thank the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for putting the money in to develop it. It's an amazing
So
thing.
a 5-car incident here as we were running lap 6. 6 of 40 are being shown complete. We hope to get back to green flag racing soon here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Firestone Indy Lights action live on NBC Sports Network, along with two-time Indy 500 winner Dario Franchitti and Arie Luyendyk Jr. I'm Mike King. Welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Carb Day festivities as we come to you live, and they are going to park. These cars are a red flag condition. 5 cars involved in this incident as we were working lap 6. And the cars will now come to pit lane, and teams will be allowed to work on them. Here's a replay once again as Arie, you and Dario were talking about the differences between driving on a road and street course versus an oval. There's the touch.
Well, I think also this is in between 1 and 2, and maybe Webb wasn't expecting it. You know what I mean? I don't know if his spotter didn't let him know that Wagner had made the move on the inside, but when you are going through the short chute, turning into 2, sometimes it can catch you off guard if a guy tries to pass you there.
Absolutely, and I hate to take that commentator's cop out, but that was a racing incident.
Yeah.
You know, Brandon wasn't more than a wing and a bit alongside, and Ollie turned in early as well. And then you see the result. That's all it takes. These cars are so much on the edge. Just one little touch, and then you get innocent guys caught up in it too. Like you know, Stella. Yeah, it was a big old hit for him.
Yeah, you of course saw the hits, 2 big hits by Oliver Webb and David Ostella, and because of that, it has meant that the track safety crew has had to call the welders out. They are going to make some repairs on the safer barrier because Arie, quite honestly, a hole was punched there, and you can't race with a hole in the safer barrier. So that's going to take a few minutes, and that's the reason for the red flag as the cleanup continues. To pit lane and Jake Query.
Peter Dempsey's second Freedom 100 has come to a disappointing premature end. The good news is you're okay, but you saw the replay. Take me through the incident.
Basically, you know, it's a rookie series, a feeder series, Indy Lights, and you know, we're all, you know, I'm not a rookie, but there's rookies out there new to the series, and you can see in the replay that the 7 car just came down. I'm sure his spotters called it the other car was low, but pinched him off right over the white line and took him into the wall. And unfortunately, I did my best to avoid it, but as they're bouncing back out of the wall, I probably missed the 42. Could have missed the 42 car if I had another 3 feet, but just caught the left front corner, and it was just done. You know, yeah, you see it right here, just right there, just caught me as I was already low. I couldn't go anywhere else, but you know, it's a shame the team Unessi Racing and all the sponsors, you know, Kilroy's Bar and Grill from downtown in Indy, you know, and everyone on the team has put a huge effort into getting us here, you know, including myself, and just feel sorry for the people involved, you know, Space Coast Harley Davidson, Seminole Harley Davidson, and we'll bounce back next week at Detroit and prove to the series what we're here to do.
Dario Franchitti said during the practice session for the IZOD IndyCar Series, this track was slick in this heat. Your overall thoughts on the track, how did it feel to you at the outset of this race?
Yeah, it was certainly a bit more slick than practice and qualifying. I think it's just the temperatures of today, but it was slick. I was a little loose on my own when I wasn't in the draft there, but then once I got in, it was pushing. It was slick, but, you know, it's slick for everybody. You know, it's the same conditions for everyone. You got to race smart and race fair, and unfortunately, when someone doesn't race fair, we're all taken out.
This package that you have put together for Yanesi Racing, we'll see you at Road and Street starting in Belle Isle next week.
Yeah, really looking forward to the Detroit race at Belle Isle, and it's a new track for most of us, and I know with the crew and the team we have, we're going to be competitive there, and we'll bounce back, get the car fixed, and come out and be strong.
I know it's disappointing, but glad to see you're okay.
Thank you very much. Thanks,
Peter Dempsey, car number 15 for Yanesi Racing, and again, we'll see him up in Detroit in the Firestone Indy Lights when we go to Belle Isle.
Yeah, and this was his second start here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Started 6th, finished 6th a year ago. We've got a red flag condition while they repair the safer barrier in turn 2. Victor Carboni is the leader of the Freedom 100. So Victor Carboni is out in front. What do you see there, Dario?
Yeah, no, we're on board with Vautier.
Yeah, we're on board with Vautier, who is right now shown 5th. So Vautier, who is currently 2nd in the championship. Both of you guys agree, though, that drivers don't even think about points when you race at the Speedway, right?
No, especially in Indy Lights. It normally comes to me after the race. I think either, yeah, you got a lot of points today, or really? Look at the gap Vautier is trying to create for himself, trying to get a little run on this, a little jump on this restart, I think. We might get in trouble for that.
This race has never been won. If you didn't start on the front row, you've not won this race. Really? Yeah, that's how important it is to be on the front row here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Firestone Indy Lights. Victor Carboni in that blue and white car. He will be the leader, but here comes Mr. Munoz. They're not going to make it easy for him, Arie.
No, Munoz on the inside. Great look here. Looks like he's going to hold on to it.
Carlos Munoz. That's nice. And Dario, that's the second or third time that he's pulled off that move.
Yeah, Jackman got a little loose out of one there, but is able to keep it low. Look, he's into 3rd now.
Here comes Saavedra.
Look at him searching for the rear wing of the car in front to get the draft.
Saavedra trying to pull up on the Jackman car. That is the yellow, blue, and he's got the red engine cowling. Carboni back to the front in turn 3, guys.
Gosh, like Jackman's got a really good toe right here, but he lost a little momentum. So let's see what we can do. Every lap, it seems to be a lead change. So. Yeah. Look at the lead Carboni's got there. He looks strong. He looks the strongest of the 4 up front right now.
Well, get this. We've got a Brazilian leading this race, and he is being literally in a pack pursued by 3 Colombians. Truthfully, you've got 3 drivers from Colombia trying to chase him down. And right now, Victor Carboni doing a good job. Jackman looks like he wants something here, Arie. He keeps looking to the outside, looking to the inside. Is he just pacing himself at this point?
Jackman's super aggressive, so he's looking to get to the front. I don't think he's very patient at all. I think he's going to follow Munoz on the bottom here. I think that's what his plan is. Let's see if it works out. They're going to try to hold. Oh, he couldn't do it.
Side by side.
Picked up some understeer there. I haven't driven one of these, Arie, but it looks like the outside, if you can hang there, it's it releases the car a bit quicker off the corner. You can kind of stay up there and run with the guys on the inside. Is that great? Fair? But yeah, that's true. But if here we go, 3 ways.
Going to go to the middle. Look at this.
Taking a huge risk here.
Heading into turn 1, and Vautier's got a bird's eye view.
Look at Jackman on the inside. He's going to pull it off.
Well, he's still too wide.
Oh, he had to back off. Look at Vautier. Vautier is sitting duck right now. Munoz did a great job there, just saying, okay, guys, have at it.
Well, how about Esteban Guerrieri, who started at the back? He's right back in this thing, as Guerrieri is currently top 3 in points, but not thinking about that.
Jackman not able to hold on to the lead here.
And Carboni is still out in front in 3.
Oh, they're so close.
Vautier had a bird's eye view of that move coming down the front straight into turn number 1. Look at Guerrieri, plus 13 on the day so far, and that's a pretty good day's work already, and we're only 12 laps, 11 complete. Oh!
Did he hit the wall there?
I think he did. I think Jackman bounced off the inside wall.
That is crazy.
Wow. Boy.
Jakomen's very strong right now, but he does seem to pick up an understeer if he's really close.
Jakomen from Santiago de Cali de Colombia.
We've only got 27 laps to go.
My gosh, Gustavo Jakomen, I think right now.
I think he's going for the lead here.
Dario, is he defining the word fearless?
Oh yeah, I think most of the Indy Lights drivers do that every time I watch one of the races.
He's backed off. I think he's content right here. I think Jakomen's going to sit right here for a little bit.
Yeah.
So Arie, what is your? Okay, so we've got warnings being issued to both the 2 of Gustavo Jakomen and the 27 of Sebastian Saavedra, longtime rivals from Colombia. And I'm curious, Arie, what does your spotter say to you when you use the inside wall to bounce off of and try to make the pass?
As you can see, Jakomen right now is just sort of biding his time. Like, he's just lifting and just trying to run away from the 2 AFS cars in the back here.
Yeah,
so
if they're smart, they work together,
yeah,
right?
If they're smart, if Jakomen's smart right now, he'll just sit on that rear wing and see if they can pull away from these 2 AFS and Andretti cars.
Well, Munoz has been in front a couple of times, but Dario, he hasn't been able to lead at the line, so officially he has not been a leader in this race.
Yeah, but I think Arie's got a good point. These 2 guys in front right now, they're using a lot of intelligence. You're just sitting there, and 2 cars go quicker than 1 round here if you can sit on the gearbox. And Jakomen's playing it pretty smart. But just saying that, here come the AFS cars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think they probably radioed to the AFS guys and said, all right, you guys work together. You don't want them to pull away, you know?
Yep.
Gustavo Jakomen right now riding the tail of Victor Carboni into turn number 1, working the draft for all it's worth. How much air do you need on the front of these cars, Arie, to make it through a corner?
Like a foot. So, I mean, if you go in directly behind the guy, you'll pick up a lot of understeer. But if you can just hang out just the tip of that wing, you know, it's enough for an Indy Lights car.
Gary Arie and Vautier. It looks like now, guys, we got 3 groups of 2. And when just as we say that, the AFS cars go side by side.
Right, here's Munoz making a move on Saavedra. And, you know, I really think Munoz has the better car. He seems to be quicker. Yeah, and he was really good in practice the other day working in traffic. And their engineer, Stu Hayner, is very impressed with him.
Yeah, Munoz in his first oval start, getting a world of experience here, but looks like Dario has been doing this all of his life.
He does. He's taken to it very, very well. And he's being patient as well, which is a big part of oval racing. See when these guys are dipping below the white line here? It gets pretty loose down there. It's bumpy below that white line now because of the stock cars changing the shape of the tarmac. It gets loose down there. So anytime you see a guy going down there, they're going to be fighting with the car a little bit. That's something to bear in mind towards the end of the race there.
Yeah, well, Munoz is a series rookie, and he comes to us from Bogota, Colombia. As we mentioned, 3 Colombian drivers after a bit of a dry spell for Colombia. Dario, all of a sudden we're seeing these young Colombians now back in open wheel racing.
Yeah, they didn't have such a dry spell in the late 90s with that Montoya character, did they? I spent a lot of time fighting against him, and he is one of the toughest competitors. If these guys have got half the talent of him, they'll be looking good.
Gustavo Jakomen, you can't get much closer than that as he runs just behind Victor Carboni. 16 of 40 are being shown complete. We've got a great race here at the Speedway. Freedom 100 action at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway live on NBC Sports Network. The onboard camera to Tristan Vautier giving you a great view of the car running to his inside. Esteban Carrier.
Dario and I are sitting here like, oh my God.
We are cringing the whole time.
we have driver analysts in convulsions up here watching some of this action as Vautier looks like guy's going to give up the position in 3.
Finally.
You hear him shifting, so you can definitely tell they're dealing with the wind and the draft, and it's hard for a guy to be fast and lead. And now you see that they've broken the group ahead of them has broken the draft. So
now they've got to work together as teammates to catch him back up.
Halfway point, we are halfway home. 20 of 40 laps are complete. Jake Query.
Tony Kottman had told down to the number 2 pits, guys. Let you know right now, I've got my eye on both Carboni and Gustavo Jakomen, so the warning came down. Mike Colliver is calling the race for Gustavo Jakomen. Got on the radio and told Gustavo Jakomen, keep racing hard, but in doing so, keep it clean. Now, of course, those are 2 things that any driver tries to find that balance on. Jakomen, as you watch him right now, working towards the outside, this is a guy that obviously we know how aggressive he can be on this racetrack. But Tony Kottman has made it very clear. I've got my eye on it. I'm watching what's going on. But as Arie had mentioned, it seems like right now, Jakob content perhaps just to kind of hang back a little bit and then do his work later in this race to work his way around Victor Carboni. Oliver did also mention, keep in mind behind Carboni, there are 3 guys who have raced together a long time against one another, and they are rivals, guys.
Yeah, Munoz really, really low into one here. Almost ended up on the rumble strips.
He is almost on those rumble strips, and you don't want to hit those. Those aren't fun.
Jakob, though, holds him off once again, so Munoz remains third. And guys, you know, a couple
of
minutes
ago. Look how brought the pack back together, that one move.
When we were looking at that in-car shot, and here comes Gary Arie. Gary Arie's going to work himself back into this as he tries to get around Jakob. Keep in mind, points, while none of these drivers are thinking about it, we're going to keep our eye on it. Sebastian Saavedra, who right now runs 5th or make it 4th, is still out in front. But guys, when we watch this in-car shot and we see these guys going side by side, is it as close? Is the perspective right? Is it just that close?
Yeah, it's that close.
Yeah, it's that close. It feels even closer, actually.
It does it really.
Look out front, 3 wide.
So here comes Vautier to the inside. Vautier.
Esteban making some good moves here.
Yeah, Esteban, Gary Arie right now going side by side with the 26 of Munoz.
It's a little high there.
Gary Arie made the engine change, guys. He started in the back. Yep. So Esteban, Gary Arie having a nice run here.
Now watch these teammates, if they're smart, work together and clear off. Gary Arie looks fast, man. Those outside passes there, he's got a good car. And he is running it free. You saw that in car. He is sawing away at it. And it's rather him than me. It's impressive.
The last thing, Arie, I think the rest of the field wants to see is a couple of Schmidt cars hook up out front.
Yeah, I know that could be the worst thing for the AFS Andretti car. So let's see what happens here, because if Gary Arie's patient and he can just wait till the end of the race, he looks like he has the car. But Carbone, you know, he's been good at leading this race, as we see a pass for second right up front here.
Vautier's going to get underneath Jakob, so Vautier's going to go to 4th.
He's got a big head of steam.
He's going to get Gary Arie as well.
He had such a good run. Wow. Those 2 in front of him went side by side, and it just created this huge gap in the wind.
Nice move.
And it looked like he just took advantage of that.
Yeah, this is a kid who is here by virtue of winning the Star Mazda Championship last year and earning the scholarship. And Dario, these scholarships are really helping some guys climb the ladder.
Guys need it. You know, nobody has these endless funds anymore, and guys, normal people need it, and Mazda have done such a good job with that. And John Doonan and all the guys at Mazda just helping guys get up with Connor Daly as well. There's been a lot of guys taking advantage of that now, and our sport needs that.
I think we have a pass for the lead here.
Yeah, it looks like Carbone is going to hold on, or will he?
No, he won't.
No. There's Munoz back to the front. So Munoz has gone back to the front. After Carbone, who has led 23 laps here today, gives it up. And let's see now if Munoz can officially go down as a leader. He's been in front a couple of times, but has not officially led at the line, so he has not been shown as a leader.
I think he's got a pretty good gap here going to 3.
I don't know.
Well, here comes Carbone back to the outside.
He's defending a little bit here.
Gary Arie taking a look there. Gary Arie in the 11, the blue and white car. Behind him is Vautier. And then Jakob, our pole sitter, is running 5th in the yellow and white car.
Look at the 3 Schmidt cars lining up here.
Dario, of course, we've been pretty impressed with what the 2011 Freedom 100 winner, Joseph Newgarden, has done this season. I know you and he had an unfortunate meeting in Long Beach in turn 1, but what do you think of what he's been doing?
Yeah, we had a difference of opinion at Long Beach, but I think he's done a great job. He's very fast. He just needs to get to the finish now, to calm down just a little bit and get to the finish. The Sarah Fisher guys and he have done an outstanding job qualifying here again, fast all week, and very impressive for his first time at the Speedway.
Fastest rookie, only rookie in the Fast 9 shootout, and he's going to start in row 3 inside. But Dario, I've got to assume that that hyper activity comes with the youth. He's 21 years old.
Oh, absolutely. And I was there myself.
22 now.
I was there my rookie year. I didn't finish more than about 4 or 5 races, qualified on a couple of pole or a pole. But yeah, finishing wasn't big on my list of things to do. So he's going to be good though. There's no doubt.
Here's Vautier, the in-car. He's going to try to pull up on the 26 of Munoz.
He had to lift there.
By the way, guys, Munoz has given up the lead to Carbone.
Yeah, there's a surprise. Munoz squeezed him there a little bit.
Vautier had to lift there big time. It looked like he got a little understeer and had to lift and downshift.
So Jakob has fallen back to 5th. Jakob looked so strong early. Arie, is the car going off, or is he just biding his time now? after
very
being
well
given that
could be.
warning.
I mean, there's a lot of, no, I don't think it's about the warning.
You don't?
I think that, you know, it's so tough to call, really.
No, Vautier has gone to second as he gets past Munoz.
It almost looks like when you get shuffled back in the wrong place on the track, that's what's happened to Yackerman. That's just as simple as that. You get shuffled, the guy makes a move just at the wrong time for you, and you're back 3 or 4 places.
Here's the race for the lead into turn number 1, guys, and close quarters into 1.
He got his name up there this time. Yeah. That was good.
Is he going to get it done?
Downshift.
Oh,
God, just cleared him.
Boy, so...
I think he cleared him because the other guy lifted.
Tristan Vautier, the Frenchman who won the season opener at St. Petersburg, has gone to the front as we are 27 laps complete, 13 remaining. Boy, this is some breathtaking stuff here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Firestone Indy Lights. Handful of laps remaining here in the Freedom 100. Ten laps remaining at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Firestone Freedom 100, along with two-time Indy 500 winner Dario Franchitti and Arie Luyendyk Jr. I'm Mike King. And guys, just when we were ready to count Gustavo Yackerman out, he made a 3-wide pass to go to second, and then just like that, Arie, boom, Munoz came back and got him.
Oh, look at this. Oh, late inside. No, he's not going to make it. Yeah, he's definitely been on a charge, and he's been able to put his car pretty much anywhere. And we saw just before we came to break, someone cut all the air off his front wing. Car didn't even move. So he's got a really good car, and
wow,
I expect him to make some moves here in the next few laps.
3 different teams running in the top 3. You've got Sam Schmidt out front, Andretti AFS, and then Team Moore Racing. So a good battle out front between these teams. And don't count Victor Carboni out quite yet, guys. While Vautier is the leader, Carboni still has a good race car, it would appear.
Yeah, Munoz got loose into one there.
But just as I say that, Carboni is going to give up a position, or so it seems. Sam Schmidt looking to win this race for the 6th straight year. Jake Query's got him.
Tristan Vautier started 9th. He has worked his way to the front of the pack. And you were saying, just by looking at it, you can tell he may have the best setup of your cars. He's had a pretty good day.
Yeah, I mean, clearly he's the only one with the in-car camera, so I can see his car's pretty free, which is fast. And obviously... challenge for him to get to the front. Our 2 best bullets right now are clearly Tristan and Victor. Victor's got a lot of experience with last year, so I don't care which one wins, just as long as it wins.
Dario Franchitti is one of the 33 greatest drivers in the history of this track. He hasn't taken a breath in about 20 laps. I can only imagine what it's like as an owner.
This is a heart attack. I'd much rather be out there driving every lap. I can't drink, I can't eat. It's just nuts, but it's that way every year. That's why we come to Indy.
And like Dario Franchitti, Sam Schmidt has been in victory circle before. We'll see if he can do it again, guys.
So as we mentioned, Sam Schmidt Motorsports looking to win this race for the 6th consecutive year, out in front with Tristan Vautier. And, you know, let's face it, Dario, Sam Schmidt, really an incredible guy. Former driver, of course, lost that in that practice crash at Walt Disney World Speedway. What an amazing force he's been in.
He is. I mean, getting the pole last year in the Indianapolis 500 was a really cool thing, him and Tagliani together. That was a special moment. What he just said there is why I'm not going to be a team owner. You know what I mean? We're holding our breath up here. Sam's sitting down there with several $1 million worth in this thing. And he wants to win badly.
Oh, Yackerman is just on the prowl right now. I think he's going to make it here on the outside.
So Gustavo Yackerman has tried to pass a couple of times. Keep in mind, he's been warned already once by race control that there will be 0 tolerance for any type of move. So, Arie, he's got to keep his nose clean here, whatever pass he makes.
Now he's under attack and blocking a little bit. That's a little bit dirty right there.
Yeah, it's Munoz.
I almost think, though, that Vautier moved over and he tried to stay in the draft, but didn't realize that Munoz was there.
Look at Munoz in the back there. It's amazing what Yackerman's been able to do, though, with this car, and I think he's really setting himself up. I mean, there's 6 to go, and I don't know if it's a good idea to pass for the lead right now. I got to think that maybe you want to wait.
I think you're right. As good as his car is, though, does he have too much downforce to lead?
He might, and that's maybe why he's waiting to the last, 2 corners.
Well, in that case, Vautier's in the driver's seat.
It certainly looks, guys, like the outside line is the preferred line for the pass, unless you're Munoz, who has done such a good job on the low side. So, in some ways, Dario, it looks like we're setting up for one of those finishes at Texas Motor Speedway where somebody slingshots off a 4 to win the race.
Absolutely agree with you there.
We got a problem with the 24. That is Ibrahim. So he is out of the race. Jakimen's going to try to go to the outside. Tristan Vautier, the Frenchman, looking to win this race. And Arie, he would also retake the championship lead.
Vautier looks very good. Came from, midfield, and he's done an excellent job. The car looks really good out front. Not a lot of guys have been able to lead, and he's been able to lead a lot of laps here.
There are the points. If it were to end as we run on track right now, Vautier would go to the next race with a 19-point lead, and Saavedra would drop from first to third.
If you're looking at where Vautier turns into 3, he's down so low, defending that low line, and that car is able to still keep the momentum up. And I got to say, that means his car is very good right now.
I don't know, guys. Gary Arie's looking strong. He would have passed both those guys there. He'd have been past Jakimen, but Jakimen got up and kind of got in his way there.
Yeah, Gary Arie running third in the 11 car. They made an engine change on that car. That's what necessitated his move from his original qualifying spot to the back of the grid. But out in front, Tristan Vautier doing a good job. But here is Gary Arie in the blue and white car, that 11 machine. And Dario, you like what you're seeing out of him right now?
Yeah, he just had to lift in one, though. Just lost a touch of momentum there. So he's going to have to spend the next 3 laps getting back up to those guys.
And a lot of times in lights, like if you're right on the gearbox like Jakimen is, it's going to be hard to get that pass. But if you're where Gary Arie is and you're like 4 cars back and you can kind of steadily gain on him and then time it right at the end, that's like the ideal situation. But it's hard because you don't want to give up too much because you got 3 guys behind you.
Guys, the great thing about this race is unfortunately we lost those 5 cars in that one incident, but that's been the only caution, knock on wood, that we see as we go 3 wide for the lead into 1.
Wow, they split him.
Whoa, Jakimen, it looks like is going to, will he win the race out of 2? Wow, he and Gary Arie up there on the wall.
Wow, they split him for the lead. What an amazing move.
That was special.
Jakimen on the inside. It was Gary Arie on the outside. They made a sandwich out of the 77 car.
They're both trying to get the draft of the car there, and they can't do it.
Looks like Gary
3 wide
Arie.
now.
Look at that.
3 wide going. Oh my God, Munoz on the outside.
Man,
amazing.
This guy has really been unbelievable. He can, it seems like, put that 26 car just about anywhere.
Gus had to lift there, and that's it.
Yeah, Gus is lifted, but it's 3 to go. He could still climb back from there.
At the line, there'll be 2 to go, and the question is, how long do you wait? Here's the in-car view, previous lap from Vautier's car as we head into 1.
Oh, as a driver being passed right now, you're just sort of a
man,
huge lift and a downshift. Oh no, he's just off the gas there.
Well, we've got less than 2 to go, guys, so we're coming to the white flag.
Oh, then we got a spin.
Oh, we do, in the wall.
Hard contact.
That's Goncalves.
Goncalves again.
Jorge Goncalves. Oh, my goodness, I jinxed it by saying that we hadn't had another caution, and that is going to end this race under yellow. How unfortunate as Esteban Guerrieri out in front when the caution flag waves, denies us what would probably be an incredible final lap here.
Good news, Goncalves is okay.
Yeah,
he's okay. Looks like
he's
some
frustrated
heavy
for
tug damage
sure.
there too.
So Jorge Goncalves, what a shame that is for the driver from Los Teques, Venezuela. Had the big hit last year. Wow. Guerrieri is going to take the white flag under a yellow condition, and he will leave the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with a nice trophy, with a huge plus on his resume, Dario, and the championship. All things considered, a perfect day for Esteban Guerrieri.
I'm sure he's a happy man right now. I think all the guys there, they did a heck of a job in that front group.
There was so much action in those last few laps.
Well, here you go. There's your leader, and
it's very late, so we can't really see what happened.
was running 7th, I believe, at the time.
It's hard to tell what happened.
Looked like he was all by himself, though, when this happened. As you can see, the body work being peeled off.
His foot still on the gas there.
Well, let's see. Yeah. Wow.
Maybe he got trapped between the pedals.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look like. Well, no. Okay, here's the view from inside of turn 2 as they come off the corner. It already spun at that point.
Looks like he probably lost it mid-corner because didn't make its way all the way around, just after mid-corner.
How unfortunate for Jorge Goncalves.
Wow, look at that thing come apart too.
For Esteban Guerrieri, on the other hand.
Oh, he got in the rumble strip at the apex.
Well, you had warned about that earlier.
I've done that. It's not pleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you get on that, all bets are off with an Indy car or an Indy Lights car.
We saw the hit by Goncalves a bit earlier that he suffered last year here. And there is the driver that will win this race. He started all the way back in the back of the pack after the Sam Schmidt Motorsports team decided that they were going to change the engine. Good move there, Arie, and for Esteban Guerrieri. Big day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
What a great time to make that pass. I'm sure that he thought he made it too early, and it just worked out. Sometimes you need a little luck on your side.
He's the only driver who's happy that yellow came out, I'll tell you that.
He won April 15th at Long Beach. That's 2 in a row for Esteban Guerrieri and Firestone Indy Lights.
That's a great
But this
feeling.
is his first
Great
one
feeling
right
there.
here for Esteban Guerrieri. And Dario, you know that feeling. Coming across the line, pumping that fist.
Great feeling there, and he well deserved. He's a pretty handy little driver.
Sam Schmidt again.
That's 6 in a row, guys. 7 of the last 8 for Sam Schmidt. And what a stranglehold, Arie, he has on this series.
Amazing
and this
cars.
track.
Amazing cars at the Speedway. Always have done very well at all the big speedways, and you know, every driver wants to be in his car at this track because, you know, history shows they put together a winning package.
Dario, on the other hand, a tip of the hat to a couple of the guys making their first start on this track. Carlos Munoz was spectacular at times, and certainly I think Tristan Vautier deserves a tip as well. That was great races by both of those
As
drivers.
rookies today, phenomenal. Yeah, really good. Used some patience, aggressive when they needed to be, and who knows, if the yellow hadn't come out there, you know, they could have been right in the fight. But it was a good race today. There was a certain amount of respect between the drivers too, which sometimes you don't see in the Indy Lights races. So yeah, great race to watch. So.
Dario, as always, great seeing you, of course, this weekend more than any. I know how special it is to you. We'll be remembering a great friend of yours on Sunday, a great friend of all of us with IndyCar. Fastest today. I know winning on Sunday would mean an awful lot to you.
Yeah, winning on Sunday would mean a lot at any time, but especially because we're here celebrating Dan and the incredible job that he did last year.
Yep.
What this place meant to him, and so we'll be doing our best, but 32 others will try the same thing. I think it's going to be a hell of a race.
Absolutely. Dario Franchitti, the 2-time Indy 500 winner, thanks so much for being with us. There's Esteban Guerrieri, the first winner of race weekend 2012 at the Speedway.
Race weekend has arrived in Indianapolis, and so have the race fans. It is Carb Day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with lots of things going on. The drivers have participated in the Freedom 100. We had the final practice period early, and now we kind of shift gears and turn the emphasis to the teams and the crews who will be servicing the cars on race day Sunday. Getting ready for the pit stop competition down on pit lane. The participants in the cars getting set for first round competition. And here are the teams that are involved in the competition. Team Penske with 2 teams. Both Target Chip Ganassi teams are also represented. 2 Andretti Autosport teams are going to be in this competition. And also the 38 car driven by Graham Rahal, Panther Racing, Dreyer and Reinbold, AJ Foyt, and Andretti Autosport car number 28. So those are the participants in the competition coming up. Team Penske, well, you can't really take anything away from them. They have won the last 6 competitions in a row, so they're going for their 7th straight. Team Penske always with the top time of getting their car serviced here at the pit stop competition. That's Ryan Briscoe's car that will be used in the pit stop competition, being towed up to the north end of the racetrack, where the competition will begin in just a few moments. Ryan Briscoe was the champion of this event last year. He defeated Dario Franchitti. That's Elio Castroneves, who has won this race 4 times, but he lost in the first round last year to Ryan Hunter-Reay. Saw the problem there on one of the tires, so he was eliminated early. But Team Penske is the team to beat, so to speak, as they have pretty much dominated all of the pit stop competition throughout the years. And here now is the flashback to last year, when Ryan Briscoe, over at the top of your screen, went up against Dario. And a great stop. And Briscoe winds up as the winner of last year's competition. We get down to Marty Snyder.
Well, Bob, as you mentioned, now the fun part of the day begins. And believe me, even though this is a competition for the pit crews, the drivers take this very seriously. I was talking to Ryan Briscoe earlier. You saw his car being wheeled up here. He said, I want to win this for my guys. Not only is $100 grand on the line, it's bragging rights for all these guys up and down pit road to say, you know what, we won it this year. And as you mentioned, Penske 6 in a row. They certainly want to keep that streak going over their friends over at Ganassi Racing, who they battled in the finals last year. Penske coming out on top. 2 of the 3 Penske drivers have a bye. They'll get automatically into the quarterfinals. And who is it? Elio Castroneves has to go in round 1. The rest of them, Will Power and Ryan Briscoe, get a bye in round 1. Well, Bob, I talked to Marco Andretti moments ago. He said, yeah, I played hooky on this day a couple of times. They both said, I hate that we have to go against each other early in the competition like this in round 1. Both of them told me earlier in the year Marco's team was a little bit better than Ryan Hunter-Reay's team, but Ryan told me, I think our team's gotten a little bit better in the last few weeks, so this is actually going to be a very interesting competition because, after all, you guys talk about the daily practice at the shop. These teams practice against each other at the shop, so they get a lot of time against each other to see how they can compete. Obviously, you can tell the festive atmosphere. Marco gets a huge start. Ryan Hunter-Reay comes in very slowly into his stall. That's a little bit of strategy there. We'll see who can get off pit road first. Tires going on for Ryan Hunter-Reay. Left rear, right rear lug going on. Marco clearly wins the race off. We'll see what the time is. Marco beat the finish line to the finish line first, Bob.
Yeah, it was a rather easy contest, actually. If there are no penalties, Marco Andretti is going to advance to round number 2.
The driver comes into play this year a lot more than in the past. Like you said, Jon, you don't want to stall, but you don't want to be sleeping at the gate either.
The first heat is underway. There's no question that Ryan Hunter-Reay did not get the same cue for whatever reason that Marco Andretti did. That race was pretty much over when they left the line.
Unless Marco red-lighted.
Yet to be determined. Although had he, that yellow flag, you see the official, each of the officials, if they do see an infraction, as Kevin told us earlier, will raise a yellow flag.
Oh, there's a conversation. Okay. No.
That's Kevin Blanche, the technical director of the IZOD IndyCar Series, with whom Ryan Hunter-Reay is talking, Marty.
Yeah, we'll talk to Ryan Hunter-Reay. You want another go here? What happened?
Well, there was supposed to be a red flag before we give a green. There was no red, so we're going again.
Oh, there you go. So we could get a do-over. How about that, guys?
How about that?
Wow.
I think that's a first in the pit stop competition.
Wait, what's the first is a driver know the rules better than the officials do.
Well, that's yeah, the area they're getting the flags from. So the new format here has reared its ugly head early, and we'll have a do-over. But you just got the feeling that something was wrong because Ryan just sat there.
Yeah, exactly. And well, there you go.
If I was Marco, I'd protest.
We need the old-fashioned drag strip Christmas tree, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. They need a. You're right, Marty. That would be pretty cool, actually.
And Marco's saying, "What?" Oh, well, we'll get it sorted out and decide what's going to happen here. Probably a redo. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Back at the pit stop competition, and if you look at the line and then look ahead, zoom in, you can see, in fact, that the sign, the video board says teams ready. But there is meant, if we roll the tape here, to see an interim step. It's supposed to be red to allow them to go into first gear and then go green. But it goes straight to green. Marco Andretti was already in first gear. Ryan Hunter-Reay not. And, of course, a huge difference leaving the line. And they're going to get a redo.
Okay, well, They have, in fact, been backed up to the starting line, so they will not send the second group in round number 1. They're just going to back up and do it once again. So a legitimate complaint from Ryan Hunter-Reay. Now he's ready.
So will you just go ahead now, Wally, and leave it in first gear just in case? Or is he saying, no, we're going to have red this time?
I'd have it at first.
Yeah, that's what Marco did. He was ready to go, and green, green, green.
Both of these guys have great starting positions for the 500-mile race. Ryan Hunter-Reay on the right there in the yellow and white car will start third, and Marco will be in fourth starting position on the inside of row number 2. I liked how we blacked out the faces of some of those people that were in the open because they didn't want their boss to identify them. Okay, there's a sign. Now we'll see if everything goes according to Hoyle. Sounds like the engines are about to be fired if they haven't already, Marty.
Are you going to do this again, Bob? Why not, right?
Yeah, rerun.
We might as well do this. Ryan Hunter-Reay would not be happy if we did not do it again. So we'll watch the signboard this time and make sure that everybody leaves on time and leaves correctly. As we said earlier, these guys practice against each other every day back at the shop, so they are very familiar with one another.
There we go.
There we go. Red, green. Here we go. Now you can take off, everyone. Into their pit boxes fairly equally, I would say. Tires coming on off. A problem on the right rear for Marco Andretti. That may take a little bit of time, probably getting the right rear on for Ryan Hunter-Reay. But Ryan Hunter-Reay will win the race here in the first round of the pit stop competition.
Yeah, all right. Well, it's a good thing we had the do-over because
that's not what Marco's saying right now.
14.166 seconds for Ryan Hunter-Reay. And Marco won the false start, but Ryan won the real thing. Here it is again.
Marco first to the pit box. The RC
Watch the right rear on Marco's car.
A little slow there on the right rear, and that was the difference.
Wow, that just shows you choreography. When you can hit that wheel gun while it's rolling to you, that's impressive.
Yeah. Now the ISO of Marco. Speedway officials taking a close look at it, and there it was, but it was a losing effort, Marty.
Well, sometimes protesting works, doesn't it, Ryan?
I didn't show the red flag on the first one, and that's what I was queuing my revs off of for the red, but we got it again. 28 boys did an awesome job. We'll have another round here. I think our next competitor is Dario. So sorry we had to knock off the 26 boys, but I hope we go win this thing. These guys have been working too hard not to win it.
That's the worst part, right? You gotta go against your teammate in round one.
I know. Hey, it's another race car out there. They're our teammates, and those guys that work on Marco's car also work on mine, so that's a little tough.
He predicted his team much better lately, and I believe Kevin's with the man who leads this whole group, Kev.
Yeah, Josh Freund does the outside front. He's the chief mechanic. Happy for the do-over, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, they had to look like the timing and scoring or something was messed up. Give us another run and see what we got.
This is what it's all about. You're going to have 6 or 7 of these good ones on Sunday to win the race, right?
Yeah, just consistency. That's what you need here. So hopefully we can have, like I said, 6 or 7, all good, and be in that victory circle.
It's a bragging right so far, the team shop. That's Josh Freund.
So Ryan Hunter-Reay is the first winner here in the first round, moving up to the line. Oriol Serbia, his competition will be Mike Conway. The first matchup of round number 1 has occurred. Ryan Hunter-Reay beat Marco Andretti with a time of 14.166 seconds. So he moves on now to battle Dario Franchitti in the quarterfinals. Meanwhile, we're getting set for the next heat that features Oriol Servia in the number 22 Panther DRR car and Mike Conway from A.J. Foyt's team. Kevin.
Well, one of the guys we'll be watching on Oriol Servia's team with Dreyer and Reinbold Panther Racing is Brett Nossman. He is the air jack man, and if you remember last year's Carb Day festivities, it did not go as well as Brett would have liked. We look back to last year's pit stop competition. Even though this is a simulation, it's still dangerous out here on pit road, and it can force injuries. And there you see he got stuck with the air jack in and got flipped around. Now there's a change this year. You notice that's on the side, and he ended up being okay, but that's still a scary moment. The air jack now, this is the automatic jack that hydraulically lifts the car, is in the back, so you'll only see one person on the side of the car, and that's the fueler. So that can help limit a little bit of congestion over there on the side of the wall. So the air jack man, Brett, is handling that. Last year he was on Justin Wilson's car. He'll come in from the rear of the car for Oriol Servia.
And that was a scary moment last year. That could have been very, very serious.
That Servia's car looks like the Batmobile.
Yeah. And notice they have a sponsor. Mecum Auto Auctions has joined the list of sponsors just in the last 24 hours or so.
The other change that is slightly different from what they'll do on race day is the right side tire changers have the air bottles and hoses stay on the right. So you don't have to throw that front air gun across the front of the car, again, for safety for people standing by for this pit stop competition. So one thing just to kind of streamline things a bit different for this year.
Ryan Hunter race car, the winner of the first heat, is being pushed up to the north end, while Mike Conway's car is also, but Conway will stop on the starting line to do battle with Oriol Servia. Servia starts 27th in Sunday's Indy 500, and Mike Conway will start in 29th position. Both of them were second-day qualifiers. Conway, of course, was not in the Indianapolis 500 last year, but is with A.J. Foyt this year, and now is also in the pit stop competition.
I'm curious to see on the lane change thing may be pretty important. I bet you there's more grip on the pit side of it. Yes. Because of all the guys that were burning out, leaving some rubber down, probably a little bit more grip over there.
All right, Kevin, just about ready.
We will have Mike Conway with the ABC Supply A.J. Foyt team in the 14 and the outside. The inside lane is Oriol Servia in the 22 for Dreyer and Reinbold Panther Racing. That crew is Chris Hogue, the chief mechanic, Brian Gosley, Chase Selman, Kyle Clark, Brett Nossman, and David Taylor. For the Foyt team, Pat Jordan, Andrew Copeland, Ryan Hopsneck, Thomas Simic, Tom Howitt, and Rodney Klausmeyer. Engines are fired. We are watching the flag. It's red and it's green. They both leave at the same time. This will be a drag race. Looks like Servia just barely beats them into the box. They start working on those tires before they even come to a stop. A little bit slow on the left rear for Foyt's team, and Servia is going to take the win for Dreyer and Reinbold Racing.
That was pretty easy with trouble on the right rear for Mike Conway. So Oriol Servia goes into the quarterfinals. His time was 13.510. We have a flag, however. Let's see what that's all about and if it's enough to hand the victory over to Conway.
Well, I don't think Foyt finished, did he? I mean, Conway, did he come across?
I think he did. He tripped the time at 16 seconds, but no, there were not any flags. No flags. So Servia is the winner.
Just trying to get us wound up.
Yeah.
Good job, Oriol. And, of course, DRR, who's recently merged with Panther Racing.
Watch the right rear on the 14.
Like the wheel nut got away.
Yeah.
Drag race. Looks like Servia just barely beats him.
It's tight quarters there, as it always is, on driver's left.
So it is Servia winning, Kevin.
All right, Oriol, your guys got it done. This is always nice. Makes you feel good about race day.
Absolutely, man. I'm sweating. I only did like 10-second work.
It's amazing, the amount of energy. Look at the crowd, it's awesome. We had a great stop. If we can do that again, we're winning this competition.
You ever wanted to be a drag racer? Here's your foray into that.
Well, I like it. I have to say it's fun, especially involving all the guys doing the pit stop. I hope we can win it. We have a good group of guys, and that would be the first moment of the weekend to show it, and then the big payday Sunday.
Good luck in round 2. Marty?
All right, the drag race, a long way from where they did their interview. We're about a foot away from them. It was a good drag race, and what happened in your pit stop, man?
Yeah, the first part was good, but after that, something happened with the rear end. I think both sides were a little bit slow, and then they didn't quite get the rear nut on the left side. So unfortunate, but, you know, it's all practice anyway for the big day. So, you know, we just got to improve on what we did there.
While we have you, how's your car for Sunday?
Yeah, the ABC car feels pretty good, so I'm pretty confident going into Sunday.
All right, Mike Conway out early here in the pit stop competition, but feels pretty good about the car for Sunday, Bob.
Oriol Servia will go against Ryan Briscoe in the quarterfinals, but up next in round number 1, James Hinchcliffe against Graham Rahal.
We're getting ready for our next heat here in the pit stop competition, and already there have been a few issues with the wheel nuts. A few days ago, I was able to take a closer look in this week's Professor B. The teams can still use their same wheels from last year, but not wheel nuts. And that's because Dallara has converted it to a metric thread with a more robust wheel nut. If you take a look, it's a little heavier and certainly more threads than what they ran last year. This is meant to be a high-performance piece. It was made outside sourcing that the teams cut all the corners they could. Only 3.5 threads, it goes on quickly. With nearly 7 threads on the Dallara piece, yes, it's going to take nearly twice the number of revolutions to get it into place. Now, this is causing some issues already this year on pit stops because the timing is different. Once you get the socket in place, you want it to push towards you. Okay? But when it's time to pull, if you pull too early, it'll leave the wheel nut and peel it out of the socket itself. So the teams are having to revamp all their timing because of the double number of turns. Now, one thing that slightly backfired on Dallara was that not all the teams used the same angle on their wheels, and not all the teams used the same sockets. And these are very expensive pieces, so they had to make about 4 versions of this wheel nut, which of course jacked up the price. Still cheaper than last year, but $260. Now, here's a little tidbit. If you look close, right here, there's a few marks on this angle. And the teams before the next race are going to update to a brand new titanium socket that gives them just a little bit of relief in this area. $2,200 for each corner of the car, just to shave a little friction and time during a pit stop.
And they always said if you want to make a fortune, a big fortune in racing, start with, no, as a little fortune race, start with a big fortune, right? All right, Marty, getting set for the next round.
Yeah, trust me, as a father who has a son who drives, Bob, it's the start with a big fortune, you wind up with a small one in racing. Right. I know about, Wally knows about that too, so this one should be very good. A little competition here between Graham Rahal and James Hinchcliffe. I just talked to Mitch Davis, the team manager for Graham Rahal. He said, our guys have really been practicing hard over the last month to get ready for this. He said, I'm really proud of their progression for the beginning of the year. Our pit stops were okay. He said, just being in this competition is huge for us because it proves that we belong on this level, that we belong in the upper levels of the guys who are making pit stops every week on pit road. So he's proud that they're in it, and he thinks they have a good shot to win this one. For James Hinchcliffe, he told me, I'm still upset about last year. If you remember, round 1 last year, Hinchcliffe in his rookie season went up against Dario Franchitti in round 1, actually beat him to the timeline. They had a penalty, though, so they had to serve that penalty, and Dario wound up not only winning that round, but making it to the finals and losing to Ryan Briscoe. So this should be a pretty good competition here. And I asked Hinch, said, how much have you thought about this? He said, the more you think about it, the worse you do. So I haven't thought a whole lot about it. I'm trying to not think about it. I did talk to Graham about the advantage of being on pit road. What Wally mentioned a moment ago, with that rubber laid down, he said, absolutely. If you're on that concrete, that's a huge advantage. So maybe that'll be a little bit in Graham Rahal's favor here as the teams get ready to crank up their engines. They're been given the sign now to do that. And we'll see who can get this done in round number 1 to go face Scott Dixon, a formidable opponent, no doubt, as the guys are about to crank up their engines. and compete against each other. I did ask Hinchcliffe how his car was for the 500. He said excellent. So that's a good sign for all the Hinchcliffe fans out there. The Andretti guy certainly fast all 2 weeks, and certainly fast for the 500 as well. And I believe we have both cars fired up. What if the drivers are looking at each other as they get into the pit stall? Here we go. That was a quick green. And clearly Graham Rahal gets to the stall a little bit quicker, but a little bit slower than James Hinchcliffe. Both tires clean. A problem on the left rear for James Hinchcliffe, and a lug nut is loose, and they cannot get it done on James Hinchcliffe's stop. It'll be Graham Rahal that wins this round over Hinchcliffe, and he can't run or can't go, or he's going to run over a lug nut. So big win for Graham Rahal, Bob.
Yeah, no kidding. Graham Rahal, he'll start his 5th 500 from the 12th position on Sunday, and there were all kinds of problems, looks like, on Hinchcliffe's stop.
A couple of that's been twice already. So, I mean, you can imagine these guys are going to have to be careful on Sunday.
Well, that was the idea that we talked about, is that your timing is, oh, there goes the wheel nut right there. It knocked just exactly what we were talking about. It knocked it out of the socket, rolling in front of James Hinchcliffe. He had a spare, but I mean, if you go to a spare in a pit stop competition, it's all over.
Yeah, watch it spin off to the right. There it goes.
And
now he goes down, look for it.
Yeah.
Wait, it's not there.
Yeah. And the air jack was a little bit, and there was a wheel nut.
Yeah.
They lost one, but his spare was at the ready. Well, but oh no, hang on. That yellow flag generally means a penalty. So let's see.
Marty?
Well, a little bit slow on the left rear, but you still made it look easy.
Yeah, I mean, we got lucky a little bit. I think that Hinch had some problems. I don't know exactly what happened over there, but, you know, it's good to make it through the first round. I'm telling you that the Service Central guys have been working really hard at this. And this isn't about me. This isn't about any of the other drivers, even if they try to make it about them. This is about our crew, and, you know, it really lets them show what they can do. So, and what a turnout. I mean,
isn't it fun?
Man, this day is packed. I don't think I've seen it this busy for the Pit Stop Challenge before, so it's good fun.
Asked him if he ever played hooky on this day, and he said, oh, no, never, never, never. Right?
Straight A student, never skipped school.
You made I don't believe that for a second, Kevin.
James Hinchcliffe, the first thing he did when he got out of the car is you went over, you slapped your guys on the back. You might as well get it out of the way today, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough break for these boys. They take a lot of pride in this competition. And, you know, we had a little problem on the left front there. I think Graham had a little bit of a problem, too, because it was still a little bit slow there. We had a chance at it. And then, you know, when they finally dropped the car, I went to take off, and the guy that had lost the wheel nut went chasing the wheel nut. I thought I was going to run him over, so I had to hit the brakes and stall the car. But just a tough break for the guys. So like you said, get out of the way now and have good, clean stops on Sunday.
Most important thing is how is the race car, and think about where you've come in a couple of years ago. 2 years ago, you were working the 500 with me on the radio network. Now you're starting in the middle of the front row with a chance to win.
Look at us, man. Look at
one of us did better than the other.
Look how far we've come. No, I mean, it's incredible. You know, you look at the last sort of 24 months and how things have unfolded for me, and I'm just so lucky. I'm so fortunate to be here with Andretti Autosport, driving the GoDaddy car, starting on the front row of the Indy 500, man. It's a cool place to be, and the car this morning was decent. I think still a little bit of work to do. There's still a lot of learning to do, and track's only going to get hotter on Sunday, and I think it's going to be surviving the first 150 laps and then go racing from there.
Good luck.
Thanks very much.
James Hinchcliffe.
Start second in Sunday's Indianapolis 500. Here's a guy with quite a record here in the pit stop competition. Helio Castroneves, he's up next. Helio came out a winner, and he did so in 2010. So he is going for another win here, and his opponent in this final pairing in round number 1 is J.R. Hildebrand. So it's Castroneves against Hildebrand to conclude round number 1.
And I have a feeling that we have not seen anywhere near the kind of times we are going to. I don't think we've seen one of these picture-perfect stops yet. There have been little issues. Right now it's Servia, I believe, at a 13.5.
Yep.
Has the best time, but I have a feeling that number is going to drop.
Yeah, everybody's in the 13s, 14, and 16-second brackets, so we do expect faster here as the competition goes on. And J.R. Hildebrand climbs aboard his Panther National Guard car. He will start his second Indianapolis 500 from 18th position. Kevin, it's all yours.
Hildebrand is on the inside. Castroneves, the three-time winner, on the outside. Hildebrand's crew: Mike Legalick, Jason Beck, Joe Hedges, Chris McFadden, Dave Mulder, and the airjack person. One of the ladies we have working down here on pit road is Anna Chatton. For Castroneves, number 3 team, led by John Erickson, Sean Hanrahan, Carlos Plaza, Clay Turner, Mike Brown, Gary Yingst, and DJ Japita. Castroneves will start 6th in the 500, has an excellent chance to get number 4. Hildebrand went from 12th to 2nd last year, a turn away from winning it. He's going to start 18th, back in mid-pack. But keep in mind, Panther Racing, with those 4 straight runner-ups, they've not started up front, and they've been able to work their way to the front, so certainly they are one to watch. We are nearly prepared to go. Hildebrand has the preferred lane with the concrete on the inside. Castroneves coming from the outside. Who gets bragging rights? 2 teams that have deep love for this place: Roger Penske and John Barnes. Castroneves, with the Shell sponsorship, has had a good month. He expected to be a little bit better in qualifying. He really thought he was going to have a good run at the pole, but still starts on the outside of row number 2. And Hildebrand should be able to race his way to the front as well. All right, the engines are fired. Red light looking for the green. They both will release at the same time. Hildebrand is going to get there just a nose in front of Castroneves. No issues so far in the 3 team. No problems for the 4, and the 4 with Hildebrand in the National Guard Panther Racing team is going to win, beating Castroneves to the line.
Wow. Again, a little bit of problem on the left rear, I think, there for Elio.
I know, Rick Reineman on that Elio's car. It's going to kill him. They won this thing 6 times. He wanted that ring bad. He told me, he said, we get a ring this year.
And I think maybe they can find a little more room for one more camera on Hildebrand's car. Did you see that? There were about 6 or 7.
I think it's sponsored by GoPro. Yeah. There's enough of them on there.
They're everywhere. They have every angle covered.
There's a total time, 12.862 seconds for JR, and Elio with a 14.010. And Elio has fallen here in round number 1. Wow, bit of a surprise. Let's take a look at it.
Front looks clean.
Left rear just a little bit slow. And now here's JR's.
Look at all those cameras.
That's how to get it done right there, boys.
They're going to have every angle to go back and look at how they got that done. And that was we talked about there be some faster times. That was sweet. Kevin?
All right, part 1 complete for JR. Nice one. You probably like drag racing too, don't you?
Yeah, I was working on my AA fueler burnout going in there, but no, boys did an awesome job. It was killer pit stop, and hopefully it just shows what these boys can do on Sunday.
I think it's pretty safe to say that they've had 4 straight pretty good years in the pits. You don't finish runner-up in the 500 4 straight times without pretty flawless stops.
Yeah, no, I mean, this place is just about not making mistakes. As long as you can get to the last 20 laps, you got a shot at it. So these boys are showing that, year after year.
All right, we'll see you in round 2.
Thanks, man.
Elio Castroneves. Well, he's fallen, but still has a smile on his face, not unexpectedly, Marty.
And visiting with the fans, you like hanging out with people or what?
That's right. I mean, I'm thanking for them because they're the ones that makes me go out there and try our best. Unfortunately, it's a shame. Actually, I thought when I went in, went really hard and actually stopped right on the mark. Couldn't believe it, but I think there was something with the right rear. But again, it's a good practice. Hopefully, we don't have this issue in a race.
Elio's won it enough, though. He's visiting with the fans, having fun, smile on his face. Bob out of it, though, in round 1.
Going for his 4th Indianapolis 500 win on Sunday. Here are the brackets. Ryan Hunter-Reay moves over from the round 1 to do battle with Dario Franchitti. Serbia, round 1 winner, faces Ryan Briscoe. Scott Dixon will face Graham Rahal, and Will Power will match up with J.R. Hildebrand, who just defeated Elio Castroneves in round number 1. So it'll be Ryan Hunter-Reay against Dario Franchitti. Congratulations all around from the Panther National Guard team. Welcome back to the pit stop competition here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as part of Carb Day 2012. Dario Franchitti was the fastest in that final practice earlier today. He's getting set to go in the quarterfinals here, and his opponent will be Ryan Hunter-Reay. Kevin, there's a lot of festive activity, shall we say, going on in the grandstand, as there always is on Carb Day.
Oh, we've got an LA-based DJ here ramping up the crowd. We're watching people across the way dance, try to dance, doing the best we can here in Central Indiana. But this is a fun day. It's always a party day. I think a lot of little productivity going on around Central Indiana offices. A few people called in sick today, but this is the place to be. We get geared up for the best weekend in motorsports, and the center of it is here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
The Carb Day flu, as we heard about earlier. A lot of people taking off work and enjoying the activity here at the Speedway. Big weekend, of course, starts today with all the activity, culminating in Sunday's 2012 Indy 500. Ryan Hunter-Reay will be on your left as you take a look at that picture, and on the right is Dario Franchitti. Remember, Target Chip Ganassi Racing has never won the pit stop competition. Could this be the year? Made it to the finals twice, including last year, but has never been able to pull off the victory.
So we talked about being warmed up versus being cold, and remember that Ryan Hunter-Reay actually got a do-over. So in a way,
they may be tired now.
Yeah. So they've actually had a couple runs.
This will be their third go at it. Marty, we'll send it down to you as we get set for this first competition in the quarterfinals.
And well timed. They give the start your engine sign to the drivers. And it's funny, I was talking to both drivers about whether or not they've drag raced before. Dario Franchitti said, I'm man enough to admit John Force has invited me to drive his tracks for many times, and I've turned him down every time. He said, but every time I see him, he reminds me, hey, that offer still stands. He said, I can't bring myself to drive a 8,000 horsepower car. It just doesn't seem right. I asked Ryan Hunter-Reay, have you ever drag raced? He said, not legally. Just on the street. Just on the street as a kid. But he said, hey, I feel pretty good about my launch capabilities when I get the green light. And we get it quickly here. Dario gets a good jump, hitting into the stall first. The guys get to the tires quickly. Seems to be very smooth. They have the rear tires on quicker than Ryan Hunter-Reay's team, and Dario will win this race. So there you go. Dario Franchitti in his first effort, advancing out of round 2.
13.441 seconds.
So much for that theory, Jon.
Oh, well. We tried.
No penalty flag, so Dario will now move to the semifinals. .441 is the that's the second best that we've had turned in, Wally.
I was just asking about the buy thing. If you get the inside lane every time?
Well, now it'll be fastest time gets the choice.
But did they? Did the guys?
You should, if you were the buy, you should have lane choice. That would make sense. If you let's watch Ryan Hunter-Reay's and see if there were any issues here. The right rear was the last to come off, but got it done in time.
That's almost, yeah. I just think getting into your pit lane, just that second, or your pit box a second quicker, might be the difference, Marty.
Well, we've determined both stops look clean, so it was your John Force skills that got the win, Dario.
Yeah, I was channeling John Force there on the launch. Going into the box, I braked and I thought, oh man, I'm gonna go long here, and the thing stopped. So I thought, okay, I'll take that. And then little bobble on the, I think it was the right side of the car, but that was we got it won, and we'll move on to the next round, try and have another clean one.
All right, and Kevin O'Donnell, they did a nice job, didn't they, Dario? So Kevin's with Kevin.
Yep, Kevin O'Donnell does the outside front. This is all about the crew, guys. Bragging rights, going to take 6 or 7 of these on race day. So tell us about the second round, your first try today.
I don't think it was as smooth as we normally like, but as we say, sometimes it's all in the recovery. So had a good recovery there, and I guess we advance.
Hunter Ray's team had a couple of tries. They had that aborted start, so we were wondering, is this like the bye for a football team that's been sitting around for a couple of weeks waiting to play? Are you getting a little bit antsy watching everybody else?
Well, you hope that's not the case. You know, you play the hand you're dealt, and we've done plenty of pit stops to have no excuses like that. So,
all right, good luck.
Good move on to round 3.
Kevin O'Donnell's got his game face on, looking for a championship for Ganassi.
All right, Ryan Briscoe is going to come up next. He's the defending champion of this. His opponent in the quarterfinals, Arie Luyendyk. Ryan Briscoe's car being moved back to the starting line as we continue with the pit stop competition here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, part of Carb Day. We saw Helio Castroneves walking up, giving Ryan Briscoe, his teammate, the fist bump. And he will be up against Arie Luyendyk here in the second race in the quarterfinals. Dario Franchitti beat Ryan Hunter-Reay a few moments ago to advance to the semifinals. Now we'll get the opponent for Dario here in just a few moments.
And we got clarification that the fastest time does get lane choice. So those that have a bye do not get the choice. In this case, Arie Luyendyk has chosen the concrete. And judging by what Dario Franchitti said, I think that's the hot setup, because when he said I came in and didn't think it would stop, and it did, that means there's a lot of grip.
All right, Kevin.
Arie Luyendyk, a winner in round number 1. Ryan Briscoe drew the bye, so the first chance to see the number 2 team Penske guys. Roger Penske on the stand during the race. Matt Johnson, the outside front. He's the chief mechanic. John Stanchina, Travis Law, Jeremy Baker, Harry Reynolds, Kellen Mills. Luyendyk away first. He is going to get to the box first. Let's see if the Dreyer and Reinbold guys can do another flawless stop and knock off on the team Penske, and they're going to do it just barely. Luyendyk will beat Briscoe to the line. Any penalties? I'm not seeing any yellow flags, and it looks like Dreyer and Reinbold Panther Racing comes up with the upsets.
How about that? 2 of the 3 Team Penske drivers and teams are out. Will Power will carry their final flag into the next competition, but so far both Ryan Briscoe and Helio Castroneves have been defeated. And how about this Panther, Dreyer, and Reinbold racing team?
Congratulations to Dennis Reinbold, Robbie Buell. That is a great day for a small team to be able to take off last year's champ. Now, we talk so much about how this is with the crews, but Arie definitely had an advantage going in.
And a very good launch. It was close.
Yeah, both stops were very good on both cars.
A double hit there on the right front. But again, we heard already from some of the crews, it's all in the recovery. Nicely done. I think Arie won that for his team. He got there ahead. And that made the difference.
A happy group of guys, Marty.
And you know, is it an upset? Is it fair to say that's an upset, Arie?
Absolutely, we're doing good. I said if we're able to do the same job we did in the first stop, we're going to win this thing. Everything's smooth. My guys are awesome. We had a great car, a great team. I like where we're going.
Your launch was pretty good, though. Was that maybe what won it, the launch?
I think you need to do everything good. It's just so short that you only need to miss one little thing and the other guy's going to beat you. So everything was good, and we're going to do it again.
And that lane choice didn't hurt, and he's already predicting a win to put him in the finals, Kevin.
Chase Selman is the outside rear tire changer. 2 for 2 so far today. That's something when you knock off a Penske team, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We had a good stop, clean tire change, and all the guys did a really good job.
How much does everybody enjoy this competition when you guys get the spotlight? How much do you guys enjoy this competition when you get the spotlight?
Oh, it's great. We love doing this. It's good exposure for the sponsors, good exposure for our guys that put in a lot of hard work for this, and I'm just happy to see us make it through the third round here.
How much pressure is on a pit stop in the Indianapolis 500?
There's a lot of pressure. You've got between 6 and 8 stops, and every one of them's got to be clean, so we put a lot of emphasis on these pit stops.
Good luck in the semis.
Thank you.
Jay Selman from Dreyer and Reinbold Panther Racing.
And the difference between Servia and Briscoe, 0.653 seconds. That's the difference, but it's the Dreyer and Reinbold Panther team that wins in the quarterfinals. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're 2 days away from the greatest spectacle in racing. It's Carb Day. We've had the final practice that was led by Dario Franchitti. The second event was the Freedom 100 for the Firestone Indy Lights, and now we're in the pit stop competition, and Graham Rahal's team will be going up against Scott Dixon here in another quarterfinal round. Scott Dixon and Graham Rahal, who in the first round defeated James Hinchcliffe. So the cars are in position at the start line. There you see the members of Scott Dixon's team. Target Chip Ganassi. And Marty, it's all yours.
Well, two Ganassi teams here going against each other, Bob, but believe me, I talked to Graham Rahal about this a moment ago. Certainly little brother syndrome with Graham Rahal's team versus Scott Dixon's team, and they would love to beat the big brother here and win this competition. The engine's fire sign has been given to both guys. I did talk to Graham about lane choice. They had lane choice because they won the round before. He said absolutely the pit road side is the way to go. That is where all the grip is, and that's how Dario was able to get a car to stop so quickly. So very interesting competition here between these two Ganassi teams. We wait to see if the light comes up here for Graham Rahal and Scott Dixon. I asked Scott Dixon the same thing about drag racing. He said not legal. Just on the street with friends, of course. The red, there goes the green. Graham gets a nice little jump. Dixon also gets out pretty quickly. Graham hits the stall first, comes to a stop first. Both stops clean so far as I can tell. This should be close. Oh, they dropped the lug nut on the right rear for Graham Rahal, and Scott Dixon will win the competition on that last second flub up by Graham's team.
Wow. There you see the time, 13.941 for Scott Dixon. No flags, and so he will move on to the semifinals.
Graham definitely gave his team something to work with. He was there significantly ahead.
So now we have two Target Chip Ganassi drivers and teams that have advanced to the semifinals. Will this be their year? Here's a low angle of Scott Dixon's stop.
Wow, I just love when they can hit that wheel nut
cool?
on the move. They had hit twice. Looks like they had hit twice on the right rear. But nice recovery. And let's see what happened here.
Rahal's deal.
Watch right front.
Right front seconds, but it's almost like they were waiting for something on the left side.
Oh, you're right. They went for a second wheel nut on the right rear.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Marty is with Scott Dixon, the winner.
And he's dissecting his job. How did you do there, driver?
You know, I think I was a little slow in, but, you know, definitely the right lane. I think you just seem to get so much wheel spin, and even when you come in, you lock up a bit easier. You want the left lane on the concrete. I think it's definitely the lane that's going to win today. But, you know, happy for the Team Targa boys. You know, everybody gets so pumped for this event, and it's great to see so many fans out here today, and it's getting hot, man. It's really hot.
Well, wait till Sunday. It's going to be 95 Sunday, Kev.
Blair Julian is the outside front tire changer. Bragging rights within the team, right?
Yeah, a little bit, but I mean, just one step at a time, so we'll see how the next round goes.
Well, it's fascinating. I've seen thousands of pit stops in races, but we get an up-close look at them. You're always touching that tire. You're starting to get it undone. Well, the car seems to still be moving, right?
Yeah, you got to try to get the nut off a little bit. These cars jump around so much when they come off on the air jacks. You know, it's kind of it helps to get the nut off before the car's bouncing around, so that's the goal.
So pretty good hand-eye coordination, right? Are you a good golfer?
I mean, we practice a lot, so it's kind of the deal.
All right, go get him in the next round. Blair Julian.
Now, Will Power is the sole survivor to carry on the Team Penske streak here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He will go up against J.R. Hildebrand in a moment. In about 48 hours or a little bit more, we should know who won this year's Indianapolis 500. But we've got Carb Day activity for you today as we are in the pit stop competition. Coming up in next heat, Will Power and J.R. Hildebrand. Meanwhile, we welcome Townsend Bell to the coverage. Townsend, how are you?
Doing great. Thanks, Bob. It's good to be back. I've missed you guys. It's, you know, like Lake Havasu out here or something. This crowd's, I like this new little snake pit format they got going on. I got to stay hydrated. The last time I did this, you guys wore me out. But I got a day off tomorrow, and it's going to be fun to watch who wins this thing.
Anything that you've noticed as we've gone along here?
Well, one of the things I wasn't sure if you talked about yet, I just got out here, is how difficult this is because you're on oval setup. Don't forget that these tires are all canted in. You know, your cambers are all offset. You've got stagger on the car. It's not that easy. Your contact patch is much smaller on the ground in a straight line than it would be in a road course. So it's pretty impressive to see these top guys, how they stop on their marks so consistently. And it's that little bit that's going to make the difference today.
Good insight. Once again, the final hope for Team Penske is Will Power. And his opponent here in the last heat of the quarterfinals is J.R. Hildebrand, who earlier beat Elio Castroneves. By the way, Scott Dixon, who just completed and won his round, had the second fastest stop time so far. His 8.810 has only been beaten by Elio's 8.7. Kevin.
Here we go. Hildebrand ekes out of the pit stall a little bit sooner. Power on the outside. Hildebrand is going to get there first. Sean Hanrahan is the outside rear changer for Will Power's team. We know his dad.
Oh, he stalled it.
In a stall for Hildebrand. So Power, not the quickest of stops, but he's going to get away. So it looks like Will Power is going to advance. There is a flag up on the Hildebrand side of the wall.
I don't think he stalled it. I think he stopped to not run over the
for some reason, the air gun got in front when you, maybe just out of habit, you throw the air gun because that's standard process, but not during this competition.
Wow. Let's take a look here. Watch on the right of your screen.
The right front. Typically, when you're done, you throw the air gun, but they don't have to here. Yeah, see?
Oh, man.
He threw it. I mean, that's just what you do every pit stop.
That's what you're used to doing.
Yeah. You pick it up and
he knew. Watch.
Yeah,
he knew it as soon as he did it.
Yeah, watch
he's
his
like,
reaction.
oh man.
Got done, and
then right here he goes. Turns around and goes. Oh.
What a dummy. He's saying to himself.
That's a
you
tough
practice
break right
every
there.
day, and part of the practice when you're outside front is you throw that. Townsend?
That guy's down here with J.R. Hildebrand. J.R., I was watching that thing, man. I didn't know you were allowed to run over a hose. You didn't think you could either. You stopped. What's that like?
Oh, no. Well, it's like they're just doing their normal job. You know, they're tossing the hose like they would in a real pit stop. So that's a bummer because we had them covered there. The pit stop was super quick, but...
Didn't you think for a second just dump the clutch and just moto it?
I did dump the clutch, and then I saw Rocket standing there like, oh, I'm gonna plow over a guy that works for the Speedway, so I better not do that. But it's a bummer, but yeah, the boys show what they do, and that's what it's all about.
All right, well, a valiant try, but didn't get it done. Marty, what's going on over there?
Hanging out with Will Power, and you were looking over there at the 4-car pit stop, weren't you? And going, oh no, this is not going to be good.
Yeah, no, I was just waiting for that thing to drop and drop the clutch. But yeah, I understand something went wrong on both sides by the sound of it.
What happened on yours?
I think the right rear dropped a wheel nut, and that was so the guys told me.
A lot of pressure on your shoulders for the Penske team. You're the last hope, my man.
Yeah, my boys are bloody quick, so you know, we'll get it next time.
All right, they are in the semifinals and hoping to advance a little further than that, Bob.
And now here are the brackets for the semifinal round. It'll be Dario Franchitti against Arie Luyendyk and Scott Dixon going up against Will Power. Will Power's team defeats J.R. Hildebrand in the quarterfinals. Back with more in a moment. Saturday, June 30th, the NBC Sports Network begins coverage of the Tour de France, cycling's most prestigious event. Tour de France begins Saturday, June 30th here on the NBC Sports Network. The semifinals are about to unfold here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway during the pit stop competition. It'll be Dario Franchitti against Arie Luyendyk. And Arie Luyendy's team has been the fastest today so far. They had a 13.041 in the quarterfinals, and that's been the best so far. So let's see what Luyendyk can do against Dario Franchitti. Marty.
And Bob, they used that fast time in the quarterfinals to make lane selection. They obviously chose the concrete. You know, I asked Arie, I said, what would a win like this mean to you guys? He said, not only the money, just the confidence for our team to know that we're competitive with the best in the world would mean everything. They get the sign to start the engines. Both drivers crank up the cars. Arie said, hey, we're not the underdogs. We can win this thing. And remember, in his post-interview after the quarterfinals, said we're going to win one more. So that would put him in the finals and beating Dario Franchitti. If he can pull that off, we'll see if he's able to do that. The team's ready sign is up for both drivers. The red flag and the green flag. Here we go. Both drivers with an excellent start, getting into their pit boxes about the same time. Luyendyk coming to a very quick stop. Both stops very clean to this point, as far as I can tell. Luyendyk gets quicker, though, on the drop of the jack, and they win it again, as he predicted. Arie Luyendyk in the finals. How about that, Bob?
And that's the best speed and time so far, 12.655 seconds. Luyendyk into the finals. No flag, so it stands. How about that? Good to see the little team that could, if you will, compared with some of the other teams that are in this competition. Arie Luyendyk and the Dreyer and Reinbold Panther team have moved to the finals, defeating Dario Franchitti.
Now, Dario got a lot of wheel spin off the line. When they
Actually,
left,
so did Luyendyk. Luyendyk had a good comeback there.
See all the smoke there coming off of Dario, though? It definitely looked like there was more grip, as everyone has said, on the concrete.
These guys are just nailing it every time.
Perfect. Very nice.
Yep. Marty, let's talk to Arie. He keeps rolling on.
Arie, this is maybe a good omen for Sunday?
Absolutely, man. My guys are so good. They're just really pumping us up. We had a tough weekend last weekend, and we really, really want a good one Sunday. So they're just making us all feel great.
This was not one where the other guy made any kind of error. That was error. That was a good stop by Franchitti.
Yeah, no, and actually I think it was the worst for us. I think we're going to do a little better in the finals, so look out.
All right, we'll watch for Arie Luyendyk and the Dreyer Reinbold Panther guys coming up in the finals, Marty.
Let's talk to our friend Robbie Buell, the little team that could. You guys just keep winning, Robbie.
Yeah, they're looking good, aren't they?
Yeah,
man. They missed a beat. You know, this is really a fun competition, but really, this is about the guys. Even when you're the driver, you're just going through the motion. This is about the guys going over the wall, and so to the finals right now. That's a good omen.
The driver predicted this, you know. He said, in the quarterfinals, he said, we're going to make it in the finals.
He did? Well,
yeah.
What did he say about Sunday?
Maybe. I'm not going to make any race. Where'd your voice go, by the way?
That's just talking here at the track.
Exactly right. Over the big music here. It's a lot of fun, though, isn't it?
They got this turned way up in between stuff. So, but no, it is a fun event. But like I say, this is all motivation and challenge. It's all about our guys and the hard work, you know, that they set aside each day in the shop to say, okay, now's our day to work getting over the wall.
All right, go pump your guys up for the finals.
Okay, thanks.
Bob.
All right, thank you, Robbie and Marty. Coming up, the final semifinal pair will pit Team Target Ganassi Scott Dixon against Team Penske Will Power. Arie Luyendyk team moving on to the finals. The pairing couldn't be better for the semifinal round here at the pit stop competition. That is Scott Dixon over there at the top of your screen, and down the bottom, Will Power. Team Penske has won so many of these, and Scott Dixon's Target Chip Ganassi team has never won the pit stop competition. So we will see if they can move on to the finals here against Oriol Serbia. Once again, there are the multiple wins, with Team Penske carrying off the honors 13 times. An impressive record. Scott Dixon beat Graham Rahal. Will Power beat J.R. Hildebrand. Kevin?
Let's meet the over-the-wall guys. Mike Hull calls strategy for the number 9 team. Blair Julian, Adam Rovazzini, Greg Schuker, Tyler Rees, Andy Schneider, and Todd Dene. For the 12 team, Team Penske, Tim Cindric is the strategist. Billy Vincent is the chief mechanic. Doug Snyder, Sean Reineman, Trevor LaCase, Damon Lopez, and Gary Prawl. Scott Dixon told Marty Snyder, I want lane choice, so he hustled back down there to find out if they were going to get it. They got it, so he's got the inside lane on the concrete, and Dixon will roll away just barely in front. He's going to get to his stop first. Now the 12 team of Will Power. Let's see if either team makes any kind of an error or it's just pure speed. Both of them with flawless pit stops, but Dixon is going to win by a few feet.
Wow. 13.385 for the second year. Powers ousted by Ganassi, and wow, Chip may be looking at his first win of this competition. Scott Dixon.
But Serbia will get lane choice on this deal, right?
That's correct. Yep. Dixon had a 13.385, and Serbia had a 12.655. So yes, Serbia will get lane choice.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Will Power actually, in fact, I look at the way they've diagnosed this. In fact, Power was quicker on the stop, but because Dixon was there more quickly and had that concrete advantage of getting stopped and going again, got there sooner and got to the finish line. But this was you cannot fault this pit stop for Power. This was very clean.
And the difference in the time, .310 between Dixon and Power.
So the stop time, the actual time in the box, 8.5 for Power, 8.6 for Dixon, but it's who crosses the line first. Obviously that was Scott.
And that is how close it was. So Team Penske is ousted. They will not win, Townsend.
Yeah, down here with Scott Dixon. Scott, I'm told you've never won one of these. Can you do it today?
I hope so. You know, it's such a difficult situation because you want the guys to do so well, and you know, as you know, as a driver, you just don't want to mess it up for them. But you know what? I'm just happy we beat Power. And Penske.
Can you get any deeper into the brake zone?
I think so, but you know, now I don't think we did a quick enough time. We're going to be on the right side, which is definitely a bit slower. So you got to hand it to the dry and right Bob guys. You've done a hell of a job today.
Absolutely. Good luck.
Well, the boss man has a smile on his face. You might finally win this thing, Chip.
I'll tell you, we never do, and I'm shocked. I mean, you know, there's been some luck of lane choice here, you know, and but it's a great event, and we're glad to be in it. My hat's off to all the guys on all the crews. They do such a great job, and they really want to win this thing. So we're pretty pumped up that Dixon's in the final, and you know, go Target.
Yeah, you do not have lane choice for the finals, though. That's going to be a disadvantage, isn't it?
Well, it could be, you know, but he had a pretty good launch from the right-hand lane in the last round. So we feel pretty good. I'm pretty excited.
If you want, you can add drag racing to the portfolio. You can do that right now.
We could. I'm ready anytime.
All right, Bob. That's it. We're adding Ganassi drag racing.
Serbia against Dixon. And all of the marbles here. Who will win it? We'll come back in just a moment to tell you here on the NBC Sports Network. Teams are getting positioned for the final round of competition here at the Pit Stop Competition 2012, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Oriol Serbia's team against Scott Dixon. Here's a tale of the tape. Target Chip Ganassi has never won this competition. So far today, Oriol Servia has been consistently fastest. In fact, the 12.655 was the fastest speed that has been turned in all day, fastest time. So again, can the little team, so to speak, Dreyer and Reinbold Panther, beat Target Chip Ganassi? We will find out shortly. Marty.
And earlier in the semifinals, Bob, between Scott Dixon and Will Power, they were asking the fans over the PA, who do you want to win, Ganassi or Penske? And I was standing beside Oriol Servia. He said, no one's cheering because they want us to win. We're the people's champion. And he went around to his entire crew, shook their hands before he got in the car and said, thank you. This has been a lot of fun. Whether we win or not, we've had a good day. Kevin?
Scott Dixon is very aware that this team has not won this pit stop competition before. Certainly they've had a lot of success in IndyCar and here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but Chip Ganassi likes to win, and Scott Dixon can get him that first win here in the pit stop competition on Carb Day.
You can see that some of the members there are just a little nervous, I would guess.
Yeah, they're like, don't let it be me.
Yeah.
Don't let it be me.
Well, in any case, whichever team wins, everybody's done a great job here this afternoon and made Carb Day once again very, very special for all of us at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. There's the signal to fire them up, Kevin.
Scott Dixon is on the outside. Oriol Servia on the inside. Not sure if it's quite David versus Goliath, but certainly one team has had much more success in IndyCar than the other. Robbie Buell was in the car the last time that they were winners, and that was their first race in IndyCar competition more than a decade ago. Scott Dixon has won here before. He's finished second here before. Here we go. We're off, and they will leave at the same time. This should be good. Servia gets to the box just a moment ahead of Dixon. Servia in the black car. Dixon in the red car on the outside, and Dixon is going to pull away. Yep. They had a problem on the outside rear for Oriol Servia, so Ganassi has won the pit stop competition in Indianapolis for the first time.
Wow.
Yeah, they had some trouble right rear on the Batmobile.
And there are hugs and high fives all around.
Well, welcome back to Carb Day here on NBC Sports Network. Mr. Townsend Bell is my guest, and Kid, you were kind of busting on me. We don't need double file restarts at the Indy 500. Just explain from a driver's point what last year was like on those double file restarts.
Well, I was standing down there listening to you advocate. You had Bo convinced for next year. You're out of your mind. You're crazier than you look. That's a bad idea. Let me tell you, when you have lap cars at, say, 100 laps to go in the race and you do a restart, you got a lap car in front of you, it is chaos. You have no idea how scary and out of control some of those restarts were, especially deep in the pack where I was late in the race.
That's why you get paid the big money, and that's why we watch, because it's kind of fun. Did you, some guys are like, oh, I hate my car in traffic, but I was talking to you earlier, not so with you.
No, me and Simon, I mean, the Sam Schmidt team, we were super comfortable. My Braun car was, it was hooked up. We weren't putting up big numbers in the tow, but we were lifting a lot, and I was really happy with it in traffic. So I'm quite pleased, especially if it gets real hot. I think we might have something.
Tony Stewart told me last year at the Prelude, I'm not going to Indy just have a one-off at Indy. You can't be competitive anymore. You're living proof you can be competitive with a one-off. You've done a hell of a job every year you've been here. You got any idea why that you just something with this track?
Well, listen, this race, I came here when I was 10 years old. This is the first racetrack I've ever been to, so I've got more experience in this place than anywhere else in the country. Now, I was a fan back then, but I love this race. This is the greatest race in the world, and my whole existence is about winning Indianapolis. I'm trying hard every year, and it just clicks for me. I think about it 365 days a year. I don't think about Lime Rock that often.
Your wife would be happy to hear that you think about this 365 days a year, but that's good, because I just think there's something about your mentality here that works. And earlier today, we had a really cool moment. Bob Jenkins got to wave the green flag to start practice, and I'll tell you something, I think other than driving a race car around here, that might have been about as cool as it gets, Bobby.
You're absolutely right, and the biggest thrill was driving A.J. Foyt's car, a 1961 winner around the track a few years ago. That was a big thrill, but so was today, waving the green flag, thanks to Jeff Belskis and everybody at the Speedway for allowing me to do that. Well, here comes the announcement that I've thought a lot about in the past few months. This will be my final year doing television motorsports. Not the final month, because I'm going to go all the way through the season to the final race at Fontana, but then I'm going to call it quits. Lots of reasons for that. My wife's health is not good. Plus, it just feels right because I've been at this business for 34 years. My very first time on network television was on NBC, believe it or not, in March of 1979 at Phoenix International Raceway. I hope to continue to do some public address work here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but as far as television and motorsports is concerned, this will be my final year. I have had a great time doing this for 34 years, met a lot of wonderful people, worked with a lot of wonderful guys and girls, and all I can say right now to them and to you, the race fan, thank you. Back to wrap up in a moment. Back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and let me say just one more thing about my retirement. I chose to do it here because of what this place means to me and what it has since I was growing up. Now let's go to Marty.
Well, Mr. Jenkins, let me just first off say it's an honor to work with you and certainly looking forward to the rest of the year with you. But now we focus our attention on the Indy 500 and who might win this race. And I think actually the fastest car will not win the race. I think the fastest car is going to belong to Ryan Hunter-Reay or Marco Andretti or James Hinchcliffe. But I think experience is going to be a huge factor. It's going to be hot on Sunday. Knowing adjustments to make on pit road and knowing what adjustments to make in the car will be very critical. And I think racing in the final 100 laps of this race, that's going to be critical. And I think the guy who's going to be able to do that best, Helio Castroneves. He knows his way around this racetrack. He knows how to make adjustments in the car. I think the heat's going to throw a little bit of a curveball at some of these young guys. I think Helio will know how to make those adjustments and know how to get his car in the right way. And my pick is so popular, I can get it out. Kevin Lee, I believe you have the same pick, don't you?
Yeah, here we are in the same garage. I share your opinion. I waffle a bit. I think there are a lot of contenders. I think the Andrettis are going to be strong. I won't be surprised if one of the Ganassis, Dixon, or Franchitti, or even a Graham Rahal can win this race, but experience matters here. Helio has won as many times as the other 32 drivers combined. He has 3, the rest 3, so my pick is Helio Castroneves. Robin?
Well, I defer to Townsend Bell, who's in this race. Who are you picking, kid, besides yourself?
Listen, when you strap yourself in a 230-mile-an-hour F-16 with wheels on it, you're betting on yourself. And I'm betting on myself in this race. And I'm also going to be taking a huge inspiration from my teammate last year, Dan Weldon, who was a small team that did big things on race day. I'll be thinking about him a lot and doing everything I can to replicate what he did last year.
All right, Mario, we're taking Marco Andretti.
Okay. Remember choosing last week favorites, so I'll let you two go first. Who's going to win, Wally?
Well, I'm going to stick with what my pick was, Ryan Hunter-Reay. But more importantly, yeah, I've had the privilege of, I have 2 guys I really respect in this business, and I've had the privilege to work with both of them. One of them, Benny Parsons, and one yourself,
wow,
Bob.
Thank
so
you. That's
it's been a fun couple of years, and I can't wait till the rest of the year. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Thank you.
And I second that, Bob. You know, I've been your personal driver this whole time, and there's going to be a void with me not driving you to the racetrack. But boy, you have brightened our job in the booth. Thank you.
Thank
Bob.
you. Who are you picking for the race?
Same as the other. They stole it. You know, Kevin and Marty stole. I said Helio Castroneves. They heard that last weekend,
Exactly.
and they jumped
do that
on
all
board.
the time.
They jumped on board and they took it all. But he'll be good.
All right, I'm going to go with Will Power, by the way.
There you go.
And you'll recall last year I was the only one in the team and in the whole world, I think, that picked Dan Weldon to win. And I did.
You're the man, Bob.
But as we say, as long as it's a safe race, I don't care who wins. Coming up next, IndyCar 36 featuring Graham Rahal. Join us in 2 weeks, Saturday, June 9th at 8 o'clock Eastern for the Firestone 550 from Texas Motor Speedway. For more information on the IZOD IndyCar Series, log on to NBCSports.com. For the entire NBC group, I'm Bob Jenkins. Thanks for watching.
All right.